westbound approaching the TW extension, or are you actually in the Northgate Village Apartments now?
Well, I can tell you it's been a very, very dangerous and extremely fast pursuit. They've been chasing that van right there. Now,
It's exactly what he's doing. Are you Googling the laws right now?
Henderson Police Department's SWAT team responded to the scene and set up a perimeter around the condominium.
I travel in and out of time zones.
And the 3 key rules for a criminal defense lawyer: always on time, impeccably dressed, and occasionally sober.
The yellow sports car up ahead won't stop. Then, something happens you might expect in a Spider-Man movie. It wraps around the tire of the fleeing vehicle and stops all forward motion.
Objection, action answered.
I mean, he leaps over the fucking bench.
No, the thing is that's my property. You have no choice.
Actually, I do, because I found friggin' Xanax bars on your driver's seat. If you want to explain something, explain those.
Cops get very frustrated when you don't answer their questions.
Oh.
Step back forward!
He's gonna go straight. There's a car right here. Got him.
All right, I'm going to excuse everyone. Mr. Brooks is being removed from the courtroom.
This is fucking hilarious. So he pulls out a joint in court.
Go, 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 go!
Turn on your stomach! Stop fighting us! Stop resisting!
The injury by the police, that may be a separate issue for you to file a civil suit.
Chris, just while he's doing that, talk to me. What were you running for again?
Warrant.
Warrants? The felony warrants? City warrants what?
Felony warrant on Kansas.
Well, I'm pretty sure they ran you, and you don't have any warrants.
I don't. No warrants.
No. So all that for nothing, right? No warrants, no nothing.
Yeah.
Police! A little farther back. A little more. Okay, go.
I'm not gonna sit here and let you fix the trial because you don't want to tell the truth to the jury.
We're there, guys. Got eyes on.
I want to suck it. Yes, I think I would like to suck your dick. I don't think so.
I prefer not to.
I prefer not to, sir. See that? I love that.
So do you wish to say anything?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, all. How are we? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome, Brian.
Good morning.
What's it like over in Connecticut?
It is sunny.
Oh, lovely.
Humidity is down, so it's actually quite nice today.
Excellent. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Welcome to Monday, perhaps. Today, we're missing a couple of people, but that's okay. AJ's a little bit worse for wear, so she's having the day off today. So it's Brian and I. You'll have to just put up with us. I'm sure you'll manage. And I thought we would go over, given that Ty Tucker's next court case is coming up on the 9th of September, I thought it might be a good idea to just go back to the first trial, knowing what we know now, and watching that again just to refresh our memories and just to make note of all of the actual evidence that the prosecution team presents in the trial, just to refresh our memories, because then that will give us a good base for when we start the second trial in September. So that's where we're going today. But I've got a couple of little things. I thought I'd put up, firstly, a little clip on Todd O'Quinn. Now, Todd O'Quinn was one of the witnesses that saw John Travis Johnson leave the Treehouse and jump into the car and remove his mask, and that his statement has not been allowed in to this point, and we still don't know whether or not his testimony will be let in for the second trial, but I thought I'd play that for you. And then I've done a bit of a compilation from Detective Pritchers. So Steve from Justice is a Process released the full Detective Pritchers transcript, basically his testimony or deposition, sorry, which I will link. I forgot to once before I started, but I will link it in the description box. He's actually got the deposition of Detective Pritchers, Penny Phelps, and Paula Belmont. So head on over and have a look at those. But I took extracts from that deposition because him being the case manager or lead investigator was never ever called to testify. So the lead investigator of a trial never called, and neither was Captain Penny Phelps, who was the second lead investigator who pretty much took over the investigation. So it was only Danielle Malone that ever testified in trial one. So I thought
I think if you reading those two depositions from Phelps and Pritchett, that makes it very clear as to why they were not called to testify.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I put together like a little, it's only a 9-minute presentation where it actually puts together each of the segments and why the deposition, the bits of the deposition are so important, how they prove his innocence. So I'll play the first one, which is Todd O'Quinn. It's just a quick one. Now, just let me know if you can hear it properly at the stage. So this is Todd O'Quinn talking to police 2 hours after the Treehouse robbery. This is what he's stating.
They split up and they came out. The white dude took his thing off, and I was yelling, "Help, help!" So they called the police while I was on the phone with 911, and then he took off in the truck.
Which way did he head? The white dude.
All right, that was Todd. That's one of them. Get rid of that. And no, we don't need that. Full screen that one. All right, that's ready to go. All right, let's watch the other one.
And his life is not the same since the wrongful dawn arrest while he was down in Key West. Matthew Bonnett lost his life by the stabbing of a knife, and in Treehouse kind of shack to assailants did attack.
Testify at the grand jury? Yes. Q. Did you tell the grand jurors that Todd O'Quinn said not Ty Tucker? Not that I recall. Q. No. You left that out of your grand jury testimony too, right? It was not intentionally left out or anything of the sort. I just don't recall. Q. Didn't Paula Belmonte say she knew Rory? He has this voice that you can easily identify. She absolutely knew his voice, right? Right. Q. And she said it was another man and she didn't identify the voice. She couldn't, right? Again, I have to go back and look at the interview. I do not recall that. Q. So when Mr. Tucker told you that, when Mr. Tucker said, hey, if I was there Paula would know it. We know each other. She knows my voice. You didn't follow up. I didn't follow up. Q. You didn't investigate that? Did you go back and talk to Paula about it? Not that I recall. Q. No. Q. With regard to the search warrant, were you present for the search warrant execution on November 21st? Yes. Q. Were you involved in the planning discussion to get the search warrant? Yes, to a small degree. Q. Did that plan involve taking Mr. Tucker into custody? I believe so. I don't recall for sure. Q. Okay. At that point when you are executing a search warrant, the only information that you have about Ty Tucker is that he walked to the store with Rory Wilson to pay his own cell phone bill and that he dressed up on Halloween. That is correct. Q. But the plan for the search warrant was to grab him, right? Yes. I shouldn't say put him in custody but to grab him and try to interview him. Q. Try to get to interview him? Yes. Q. Okay. Was it you that decided to take Ty into custody? No. Q. Who was? Whose decision was that? That would have been Captain Phelps. Q. Captain Phelps. So the search warrant is executed. You know that Mr. Tucker told you that he feared he was going to get shot, right? Yes. Q. And you know that he was handcuffed, right? Yes. Q. And you know that he was taken down to the station? Correct. Q. And he was asked questions. Yes. Q. And he was placed in the back of a patrol car. He was handcuffed, right? I believe. I don't think I got to actually see him in the car. Q. And at this point he paid his own cell phone bill and walked with Rory Wilson. Yes. Q. What was your probable cause to detain him at that point? At that time I was dealing with Rory Wilson. You would have to talk to Captain Phelps. Q. Was anybody other than Rory Wilson and Ty Tucker detained for questioning that night? No, I don't believe so. Yes. Q. Next page. Bottom of the page 1119. Do you see that? Maybe it's the one after that. FYI, I am in the office tomorrow, she says. Need to figure out chain of custody between Malone and Kellenberger to clean up the mess when we can. And any luck with Todd O'Quinn, right? Yes. Q. So, she deemed the property receipts to be a mess? Yes. Q. Did she also ask you at one point, I can mark this, I don't know where, did she ask you at one point to unrestrict the Treehouse murder case so that she could get into it and Jill could get into it? Yes. Document marked as Exhibit 18, by MS, Higgins. Q. What does that mean, unrestrict the Treehouse case? Only certain people have access. Q. Why would she need access to it? If she wanted to read any news supplements, print out things. Q. Can you alter things once you unrestrict it? I would have to talk to IT. I don't know if they have different access level for different people. I don't know. Q. Did you want to restrict her? I unrestricted her. I either added her or unrestricted. I think I added her so she could have access. Q. Do you know what she was doing when she was in there? I do not. Q. So it's not a matter of course for the state attorney's office to have access to these records, right? Q. So she is at the crime scene, yes? Yes. Q. She is talking to Penny Phelps, yes? Yes. Q. Several times a day. I would be speculating. I assume so. I know they talked a lot. Q. At least every day. Yes. Q. And she is telling Penny Phelps what she should do, right? What she should get. Yes. She would put out things that she wanted done. Q. Things that she wanted. Yes. Q. And she made the decision along with Captain Phelps, former Captain Phelps, against your advice to arrest Franklin Tucker? That is correct. Q. You had the conversation with Colleen Dunn and you said wait, right? Yes. Q. But then Penny Phelps and Colleen Dunn have a conversation and you are ordered to go and arrest Franklin Tucker? Correct. I shouldn't say I was ordered. It was Malone that was told to write an arrest report. Q. Malone was told to write an arrest affidavit? Correct. Q. Did you ever review that arrest affidavit? I did when it first happened. Q. Are there inaccuracies in that arrest affidavit? From what I recall there were a couple, yes. Q. So Phelps tells Malone to write an arrest affidavit. Is that normal since you're the lead detective? You should have wrote it. Correct. Q. But then you didn't think there was enough, right? Right. They also had her write the arrest affidavit for Rory Wilson as well. The only one I wrote was Travis Johnson. Q. Okay, but they knew at that time when they directed Malone to write the arrest affidavit they knew you weren't on board? Correct. Yes, they knew I thought we should wait to arrest him. Q. Right, so they got somebody who would write it, right? I am speculating but yes, that Wilson that was back in December of 2018? Correct. Q. So you knew Rory Wilson was the murderer at that time, correct? Correct. Q. So you had DNA evidence on him. I apologize. Not that he was a murderer. That he was at the murder scene anyway. Q. Okay. Well, it looked like he was the murderer at that time, correct? All the evidence was pointing to Rory Wilson as being the actual murderer at that time? It definitely put him at the scene, correct? Q. Okay, but it more than put him at the scene. It put the knife in his hand. It put the knife that actually killed Mr. Bonnett in his hand. It put the mask that was worn by Rory Wilson at the scene with the blood of not only Paula Belmonte but also Mr. Bonnett. That is also correct. Yes. Q. But you believe she manufactured some of this evidence, right? She is not an officer anymore. She is not your captain anymore. Danielle Malone is not a law enforcement officer anymore. Penny Phelps is not a law enforcement officer anymore. You are. You have to tell us the truth. Absolutely. Q. Do you believe that Penny Phelps manufactured evidence in this case? Yes, I believe she led some of the witnesses down the road. Q. She interviewed Travis. Did Travis come up with this story or did she lead him to it? There are parts of Travis's story that he said very early on that were him. Again, I believe the questioning was relatively direct that she could lead him down. Q. She said it again. Exact same thing. She said let me tell you what happened, right? Yes, she did. Q. And after that Travis's story changes, right? That is I do not recall. Danielle Malone. Q. Danielle Malone. Did you like working with Danielle Malone? MS. Paused. Objection. Relevance. There were some things that were tough. By MS. Higgins. Q. What? Personality conflicts. Q. Why? In terms of the way things are done. Q. Would you characterize her as a good detective? MS. Paused. Objection. Relevance. No. By MS. Higgins. Q. She is in dispatch now, right? Yes. Q. I get the feeling that you are holding back about Danielle. Did you find her to be incompetent during the course of this investigation? I found out that a lot of things that I thought had been taken care of, I found out later that they had not. Q. So she didn't tell you the truth? Correct. Q. Same thing with Penny Phelps, right? she didn't tell you the truth either, did she? Not at times, no. Q, not at times. She went off and did her own thing and then came back to you and told you that things were done in a certain way, right? Yeah. Q, by January of 2019, how many times had Todd O'Quinn told you that it was not Franklin Tucker? How many times? I do not know. He said that this person was wearing a mask and he did not get a look at their face because they started to pull the mask because they were running away from him. Q, didn't he also tell you that he knew it wasn't Ty Tucker because he knew Ty Tucker? He said he didn't think it was Ty. Yes, he did not believe it was Ty Tucker. Q, and he told you that? Yes. Q, so it's consistent with someone running but you didn't inform the court that Todd O'Quinn said it was not Ty Tucker? Was that to mislead the court? No. Q, no. No. Document marked. Correct? Yes. Q, okay. There were a couple of videos that were ultimately, I guess, obtained or retrieved. One of them is from the Cosme Boat Marine Shop. Yes. Q, okay. And you have reviewed that video? Yes, I have. Q, I mean that video really doesn't show anything. It's a grainy video and just really shows, I guess, maybe taillights if anything. Taillights you can see. Obviously people going one direction to the left and people coming back the other way. Q, but you can't tell who those people are. No. Q, you can't tell their clothing, correct? Correct. Q, you can't tell really their height or their weight or anything about them, correct? You could tell one is larger than the other but as for weight, no, you can't. Q, you can't tell weight, actual height or anything along those lines. Can you tell the color of the people? No. Q, it's really just, it shows kind of figures going in one direction and figures going in another direction, correct? That is correct. Q, okay. The date stamp and time stamp on that, were they correct? Were they verified? They weren't verified at the time and they are not correct. Q, okay. So then how do we know that is even the right time and the right time slot of that video of the incident? I mean, we don't even know if that is the actual footage of the incident, correct? In other words, let me rephrase the question. That video could show two random people going in one direction and then two random people coming in another direction at a completely different time on the same date? Correct. The behavior is consistent with like Mr. Johnson had stated, but as for the video in and of itself, that is correct. Q, okay.
3.1 is now the bounty issued out of Monroe County. Crooked cops put him through hell, locked him up in a jail cell. Now they claim he tried to flee. Won't you set
There you go. How's that? It not only tells you that they're aware of Paula Belmont's statements, they're aware of Todd O'Quinn's testimony. They have the lead investigator saying that Chief Penny Phelps was leading witnesses, and her and Colleen were pretty much running the investigation, and that they had absolutely nothing on Ty Tucker except for that Facebook photo and the fact that he was seen walking the next day with Rory Wilson to recharge his phone. That's the only things they had. They had no probable cause for the arrest warrant. They disagreed. The lead investigator disagreed with arresting Tucker, and so they went behind his back to a lower detective who'd only been in the I think it's the homicide division or whatever, for 6 months. That was Detective Malone, and she wrote the arrest warrant, and that's how he got arrested, based on those facts. And the Cosme's Marine video, that's what got me. I didn't realise that I had to listen to the tape of Detective Pritcher a few times, but that tape has never been verified as to the date and the time. You know, the one where you see the two shadows going forwards to the car and supposedly going back, never verified.
That's correct.
Yeah. So keep all that in mind whilst we watch the trial. Now, I've got it queued up to day 1. I couldn't find anything that said opening statement, so I'm assuming they're included in day 1. He's hoping.
Yeah.
God damn it. Wrong one. Remove that one so I don't click on it again. Share the screen. That one, Jody. Yay. All right. Let's do it. Was the volume okay?
Yes, it was
Okay.
for those videos, yeah.
Excellent. Right.
Okay, good morning again.
What goes?
I've been informed that the jurors, all 14 of them, are here and they're in the jury room. So at this particular point, let's bring him in, please. Do not get so involved in no
Plant is Assistant State Attorney.
binding and fed into the shredder that's in that only is aged with those preliminary instructions. We will now go on to open statements.
Okay.
So, counsel for the state, would you like to make an opening at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please, the court. Yes.
That's
Madam Clerk, Mr. Tucker.
evidence.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning. My name is Assistant State Attorney David Alvarez, and along with my colleague, Chief Assistant State Attorney Joseph Mansfield, will be conducting the presentation of the evidence on behalf of the state this morning and throughout the course of the trial. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for your participation in this process. It's very important, not only to the state, but to Mr. Tucker as well. So we thank you. As the judge has already told you, the defendant is charged with a series of crimes. I'm not going to go over them again. We believe the evidence in this case will show that on or about November 17th of 2017, at 5650 Laurel Avenue, Stock Island, Florida, a place commonly known as the Treehouse, the defendant in this case, Mr. Franklin Tyrone Tucker, along with co-defendants Rory Wilson and Travis Johnson, planned and effectuated a robbery at that location, which at the time was the residence of Paula Belmonte. On said date, at approximately 7:45 or a little bit before there, these three individuals, and you'll hear testimony of this, the evidence will show this, that they actually spoke about how they were going to effectuate and pull off this robbery. They drove past the Treehouse once just to stake it out, came back. Defendants Wilson and Tucker put on their dark clothing and grabbed their weapons and their mask, and then got back into Mr. Travis Johnson's truck and drove to the Treehouse. The plan was, as you'll hear and the evidence will show, that Mr. Tucker and Mr. Wilson were going to go up the Treehouse, and the reason it's referred to as a Treehouse, it's a series of stairs that leads. I don't really want to I don't want to describe it as an apartment, but it's a place where people could sleep. It had tarps over it. It really didn't even have roofs. And I believe the victims in the case, Miss Belmonte and Mr. Raggett, will explain that in detail, as well as some of the deputies that you'll hear from. But in the commission of committing this robbery, defendants Tucker, this actual defendant, Mr. Tucker and Mr. Wilson, went up into the Treehouse and held Miss Belmonte and Mr. Raggett at knife point. Miss Belmonte was held at knife point with a knife to her throat. During the commission of this robbery, her throat was slashed, and you will see pictures of her injuries during the course of this case. The state is going to be introducing photos of that. Mr. Raggett was also held at knife point. He was beaten, punched several times. He'll actually testify that he was knocked back into a tarp. At this time of the year, I believe in November, it wasn't quite fully dark yet. It was dusk, the sun was setting, but they were able to discern that the alleged perpetrators were coming up the stairs, and eventually what happened. In the process of committing this alleged crime, obviously in fear of their lives, Miss Belmonte and Mr. Raggett were screaming in fear for their lives. And unfortunately, the crimes didn't stop there. A neighbor, Mr. Matthew Bonnett, heard the screams and decided to render aid, or at least try to assist in somehow. As he was coming up the stairs, the evidence will show that Mr. Tucker and Mr. Wilson confronted him. There was a struggle that ensued, and Mr. Bonnett was stabbed numerous times and eventually died from these injuries. The defendants then fled the scene. Defendant Johnson, who was waiting in his dark-colored pickup truck, the getaway driver, noticing that there was a commotion going on, decided to leave his two accomplices and drives away. They ultimately meet up at a warehouse where they were all residing together, probably about, I want to say about 500 or 600 feet from the actual treehouse, where an argument ensued, and Mr. Johnson decided to walk down to the Tom Tom to get some cigarettes, where he met up with Mr. Detroit Wilson, Mr. Rory Wilson. You're going to hear from numerous witnesses during the state's presentation and shall be presented with numerous exhibits of evidence for your review and consideration in this case. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the state is absolutely confident that at the conclusion of this matter, you will find that the defendant, Franklin Tyrone Tucker, is guilty as charged in the indictment and the amended information. Thank you.
The only thing I liked about him was he was short.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do so.
Okay. That was a nice presentation. I'd say, by the way, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. That was quite the story. But the problem is nothing in that story tells you what evidence they have, what evidence they're going to show. You know, how are they going to actually tie me into that story? Anyway, you know, the prosecution, you know, tells that story, but the problem is very little of that story is true. That's the bottom line. And, you know, yes, about the only thing that was true in that story is, yes, John Travis Johnson was there. That's a fact, right? This state witness, you know, they keep on saying he's the getaway driver, right? Out of all the evidence.
Object argumentative. I'm going to sustain the objection. Again, this is an opportunity to talk about what the evidence you expect will show.
Oh, that's where I'm going, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just give me a second, I'll get right there. I was actually just getting to that point. Out of all the evidence they show, all the witnesses they bring, where are they going to show he's the getaway driver? That's what you need to look at, right? Because the defense, you know, we can show all day there is no evidence saying he was a getaway driver. We can also show that there's evidence that says otherwise. And that's what we do intend to prove. As far as the, you know, the evidence we intend to put on, we're going to, you know, put on the surviving victim, Miss Paula Bellamont, who says, 100% sure it wasn't me that night. 100%. Now, just as Mr. Alvarez said, you know, this is a woman who was brutally beaten, robbed, had her throat slit, you know, literally sat there and watched her friend get murdered viciously. But yet she is testifying on my side. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, what motivation could she have? Anyway, going down the line here, we're also intent on going ahead and, you know, calling a few other witnesses here. The next one after that is probably going to be Mrs. Angela Oslowski. Again, talking about evidence, right? Well, this is the woman who did the FDLE reports, the forensic evidence that, you know, that they submitted, right? All the evidence comes back. None of my DNA, none of my, my blood, none of my fingerprints, none of that stuff. Okay? So no forensic evidence, right? Okay? Surviving victim says it wasn't me. Okay, so we'll go on down from there. The next one, Mr. Tom Walker from Internal Affairs, right? Now, Mr. Tom Walker goes ahead and investigates the investigation because of a complaint I made, right? A complaint that comes back sustained, right? Comes back as sustained.
This is irrelevant. This is the bits that he needs to keep out of his argument next time. Focus on the implications that the state made with regards to the motive of why Paula Belmont might testify on his behalf, because they insinuate that they paid her off on a trip to California after the incident. So he needs to focus on that. But as far as the internal investigations and accusations goes, I think it's a separate, he needs to address that at a separate trial once he's cleared his name, not include it perhaps in his next trial.
For an investigation that was so poor, so poorly executed, 208 pieces of evidence were found to be mishandled by the MCSO, including DNA, including physical evidence, including video. 208 pieces of evidence. Now, he also goes ahead and goes beyond that. He goes on to show that, that the original affidavit that was used to arrest me, the one that actually everybody relies on as far as what the police say happened, right? He goes ahead and investigates that. Unfortunately, guess what? That's not accurate either, according to him. That he actually goes ahead and investigates this and finds out that the original affidavit that was used to indict me, used to give me these charges and put me in front of you people, right? Not that I don't like you, but
Objection, argument, or hinder. Well, I'll overrule that objection.
no, but yes, it put me here. And so he'll go ahead and show that that isn't exactly accurate, that it's filled with inaccuracies. It also has what they call material omissions, stuff that would be an exculpatory evidence to suggest that I wasn't there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and interview Mr. Tom Walker. We'll go ahead and put him on the stand. Then after that, we have Mr. Chat.
I don't remember him testifying in the last trial. Brian, do you? Tom Walker? I'd like to watch that one again.
I do not, but I do recall his investigation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I read it or whether I actually saw him say it.
Look forward to his testifying because I completely forgot about that. Because he hasn't been mentioned for a while.
Lieutenant Colonel Chad Scabilia, right? He's actually one of the higher ups in the MCSO. I don't know how familiar the jury is with that, right? I know we all know Rick Ramsey, but do we know Mr. Scabilia? Probably not.
Oh,
but he
actually, while I remember, Bri, do you know in Detective Pritchers' deposition, they mentioned he was interviewed by Seth LeVay. Now, watching something else the other night with regards to the Karen Reid trial, Seth LeVay's name was mentioned in that as well. And I don't know what his actual position is and how he could be involved in both of these.
I don't recall him in the Karen Reid trial.
No, but I was actually watching Turtle Boy the other night and his presentation on the motion to dismiss, and he was going through some stuff at the very, very end of his presentation, and he mentioned Seth LeVay, and I'm like, how do you know who Seth LeVay is? Yeah, might look that up, might dive into that.
I'm going to start looking right now.
The two people surely can't have the same name. Surely. All right, let's keep going.
He is one of the higher ups in the MCSO. He's in charge of their operations. He decides as of January of 2019, he's going to go ahead and do an investigation of the entire major crimes unit, right? He's afraid that they're not living up to par. That's a good supervisor.
Object and ask for sidebar. Okay.
Let's skip the sidebar.
I'm going to advise the jury that I have overruled the objection, but I do want to remind you that this is opening statement. It's not evidence in the case, and it may or may not reflect what ultimately is evidence, and it will be up to you to decide the case based on the evidence. So keep that in mind, that this, what I told you, the statements of the attorneys is not evidence. So with that, let the defendant proceed with his oath.
Thanks. I'd also like to apologize for my tone. Obviously, I'm a little upset. You might understand. I don't know if you do, but you might understand. Anyway, continuing forward, back to Lieutenant Colonel Scabilia. His report, he goes ahead and he finds that there are a number of investigations in the Major Crimes Unit that have not been sufficiently investigated, according to him. One of them, well, not one of them, out of the many that he finds, and Miss Danielle Malone, who we intend on putting on the stand, and to go ahead with this investigation. Yes, she's found to have, out of 17 active cases, 11 of them come up as insufficient, which we would argue mine is one of those. So we have quite a bit of evidence. I know that Mr. Mansfield asked you if you could convict me on one piece of evidence. Maybe that's true. I could see that depending on what the evidence is. You got a video of me doing something, or I could see that. But what he failed to say is, okay, could you convict me on one piece of evidence when there's a lot of evidence that says something else? That's the question. And that's what we're going to try and get to with the defense, right? We're going to bring up witnesses. We're going to bring up evidence.
See, he makes out that they actually have some form of evidence that they can use against him, when he needs to be focusing on the fact that there is no evidence. Everything they have is circumstantial, and focus on what they don't have instead of trying to prove his innocence and what he thinks they might have.
And we're going to go ahead and we're going to challenge everything that the state is saying, because I know it's not true. So in the end, that's what we're looking for here, right? We're looking for the truth. They can present their case, I'll present mine, and we'll see what comes out as true. And then you guys can decide. And I know from looking at all of you and from going through our board diary, this will decide correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. So, jury, you've now heard opening statements from both the state and the defense. So now we start with the evidentiary portion of the proceedings, and the state has the opportunity to go first. So, you prepared to call your first witness in your case in chief?
Yes, Your Honor. State would call Deputy Jenna Muller from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
All right, Deputy Jenna Muller. Wherever the podium suits you, a broad range is fine. As long as comfortable, as long as the other side's able to have a clear view of the witness stand and hear, that's fine. Ma'am, if you please step forward right through the gate there. Approach the deputy who's in front of the witness stand here. That's good. Would you stop right there, turn, face the clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in the cause now and here shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right, please have a seat on the witness stand, loudly and clearly, so everyone is able to hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and for the jury, please.
Jenna Muller,
And where are you currently employed?
Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity are you employed with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office?
I am the road patrol sergeant in District 1.
How long have you been doing that, Deputy Muller?
As a sergeant?
Yes.
Since July, I believe.
And in total with the Sheriff's Department?
I got hired in January of 2016.
16. Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to November 17th of 2017. Were you employed with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office on that date?
I was.
And in what capacity were you working with them at that time?
I was a deputy on road patrol in District 1.
And at some point on that date, I want to say at approximately 7:45, 8 o'clock, did you have an opportunity to respond to 5650 Laurel Avenue, commonly known as the Treehouse?
Yes, I believe the original call was for me to go to the CVS right in front of that address.
Okay, and the CVS, how far is it away from the 5650 Laurel Avenue?
Across the street.
Literally across the street?
Yes.
Okay, and could you please describe for the jury what happened? What happened when you got there?
So I responded to the CVS. The call was that there was a man there making excited statements, something along the lines of maybe his friends were hurt. I don't remember the exact dispatch. So I arrived there, made contact with a male who was shirtless, and he began telling me that of this incident, a stabbing that occurred, and that it occurred at the Treehouse.
Okay, and did you ultimately respond to the Treehouse?
I did.
Were you the first surviving officer on the scene?
I was.
Could you please describe for the jury what you observed when you arrived?
So on arrival, I could hear, I parked my patrol vehicle out front of the property, and I could hear someone screaming from what ended up being the top of the treehouse. I made my way onto the property, up the stairs, and that's where I encountered the first victim laying face down on the stairs, unresponsive. I went past him to the victim that was yelling, and she was at the very top of the treehouse with a large wound to her neck, and I believe her hand as well.
Now, a lot of people are interested, including myself. Could you describe why do they call this residence the Treehouse?
So it was legit a treehouse. It was almost like a outdoor platform tower. I believe there was 2 levels and stairs going up all the way to the top, and it was essentially a treehouse. It was just two platforms.
Did it have a roof or anything of that nature?
I think maybe part of it sort of had some sort of makeshift roof, but I don't remember exactly.
Running electricity?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, very well. You indicated the first victim you encountered was non-responsive.
Correct.
Did you call for medical assistance?
Yes.
And did they ultimately arrive there?
Yes.
Okay, and then you proceeded upstairs, and who did you come into contact with upstairs? Do you remember?
Yes, that was Miss Paula Belmonte.
And what was her condition like?
She was very excitable, yelling, screaming, and she had the large wound on her neck. I believe I found a towel nearby or something and applied pressure, had her hold on that while I went back to try to...
Yes. Permission to approach the witness? Yes. This one I'd like to show you is in previous marked as states exhibit A3 for identification. And actually take a look at it. You had a chance to review this?
Yes.
Did they accurately and correctly reflect the entrance and the stairs of the treehouse?
Yes.
Permission to introduce this evidence to the home.
Any objection? Mr. Tucker, any objections? No.
Sorry, I just wanted to show you what the actual tree house looked like. That's it there.
if you mind, while the jury is looking at the photos, could you kind of describe what they're looking at? Is that the steps leading into the treehouse?
Yes. So if I remember correctly, it was essentially like one flight of stairs and then almost like a landing platform and then another flight. And then I don't recall if there was a turn at the very end up to the top, but there may have been.
And just so I'm clear, you indicated that you encountered the first victim, which was non-responsive on the first landing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor.
All right. To review the exhibit, and then we'll do cross-examination opportunity.
They're just letting the jury have a look at the photos from the treehouse.
Appears as though all the jurors have now had an opportunity to review the exhibits. We can return them to the exhibit. We can return them to the clerk.
No worries, Alan. Help yourself.
State's completed direct examination. Mr. Tucker, did you care to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can proceed.
Even more. Thank you for coming. It's been a while, but okay. That night, do you remember approximately what time? You know, what time you arrived on scene? What time you got to the treehouse?
I don't recall the exact time, no.
Just how about approximately? You got anything in there?
Want to say maybe it was like, I'd be guessing. I think it's like, 8 p.m., something like that.
Okay, we can always look at it.
Yeah.
You both need to keep your voices up, please.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so you get to the treehouse, and Paul's the second victim that you come across, correct? It's you come across Matt first.
Correct.
Okay. And how long before backup shows up? Approximately.
Approximately like 20 minutes or maybe 30 minutes. Another deputy showed up to assist me with clearing the property.
Okay. And did you guys actually clear the property, check, make sure there's no more suspects, anything like that?
I had done that prior to the deputy arriving on scene.
Would that be on your body cam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, check. Okay, so now you're at the property, you've done your sweep, you've got backup, correct? And I would assume the ambulance shows up before or after that?
Yes, sir. The ambulance showed up minutes after I got there.
Minutes after you got there. I seem to remember that too. Okay. Now, let's see. After that, what would you do after that? After you went ahead and cleared the property, after the ambulance came, they took Paul to the hospital, if I remember correctly, right?
Correct.
So what was your duty after that?
I remained on scene. I started a crime scene log. I believe I taped off the immediate structure of the treehouse itself, and then also the entrance to the property.
Okay.
Asked anybody who was in the property to come outside of the property. I tried to identify everybody that was on scene or that I came into contact with. That was essentially.
You secured the scene, basically, right? Now, and what does securing the scene? What does that actually entail? What is it? Why do we do that?
To not contaminate the scene, to not have people in and out, stuff like that.
Okay. Just to make sure that the evidence stays there, it stays, doesn't get
Scene
walked away
safety.
with or tainted, right?
Correct. Scene safety, make sure everything's.
Right, and safety, obviously, right? Okay, and now, was there evidence just found on property?
No, I believe, no, there was evidence found on the street itself.
Okay. Was that ever blocked off? Was it ever roped off so that the evidence would stay secure?
Yes, once other units detectives got to the scene, at one point, they did block off most of the street, from what I recall.
And about how long did that take
For them to arrive, or
for them to block off the street?
I don't recall.
Do you remember anybody walking away with evidence?
Walking away with the
Like
evidence?
picking up evidence off the street and walking away with it?
The only person I saw that handled evidence would be the crime scene tech from Key West.
Okay, that would be
Detective Mitchell.
Yeah, if I remember right. Okay.
Yes.
And so he was the one who handled the evidence once he got there. Right?
In my presence, yes.
Okay. And and then after that, what did you do after that? I know you started the crime scene log, you secured the scene, at least the immediate scene, right? The treehouse itself.
Correct.
And then what did you do after that?
I believe I, assisted the detectives on scene with what they needed. We walked the street, Laurel Avenue, looking for any additional evidence. I did locate a $100 bill on the street. That's what Detective Mitchell came and photographed and collected. And I believe there was other individual pieces that were located. I didn't locate them directly.
But they're basically all the way down the street, right?
From what I recall, it was, yes, going down the street.
Okay, so you're looking for evidence after that. That's, you're basically searching for evidence, checking the scene, making sure.
Right. So now he needs to say to her, what evidence did you collect? Did you find a supposed knife or weapon used? Did you find any masks, tire tracks, footprints, anything left? Anything that they found on the scene at that night? Go through each one of them.
You guys are covering the whole street now looking for the evidence, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Even say to her, did you see me there? Was I there? Do you remember seeing me at the scene? No? No, because I wasn't there.
Now, you get to the scene, okay, and was I there? Correct. Just go for that right there. Was I present when you got there?
I did not see you, no.
Yeah, okay. And is there any evidence that I was there?
I did not see you there.
Know.
So
You know, right? Okay. All right. So nothing there. Now, okay. And you said other people started showing up. Other detectives, other officers started showing up. Was it Detective Mitchell from Key West PD? He shows up for the forensics, correct?
he did show up, yes.
Okay. And then who else showed up?
Let's see.
Did anyone interview any potential witnesses? Anyone have any suspects initially in mind at this point in time? And who were they and why? Did you interview a person named Todd O'Quinn? Did he make any statements to you at that time? What was his statement?
At the time, Captain Phelps, Detective Pitcher, Detective Malone, Lieutenant Kellenberger, Detective Fernandez, possibly Captain Smith.
It's quite a few officers, right?
Yes, sir.
Most of them major ranking officers, if I remember correctly. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you said your first encounter was with Todd O'Quinn, correct? With the skinny white guy who ran out.
I believe his name was Todd O'Quinn.
Todd
yes.
O'Quinn, Todd Sumner O'Quinn is his name, but his full name. So he's the one who approached you first, but he's not the one who called 911, but he's the one who approached you, correct?
Correct. I believe he was yelling in front of CVS, and some other bystanders contacted 911.
Okay. What was he saying to you? Do you remember?
For the exact verbatim, I would have to refer to my body
Sure.
cam.
It's been a long time. I understand. Believe me, I understand.
But he told me that there was some sort of altercation. I believe he said he saw Mr. Bonnett being stabbed, and he saw a white suspect and a black suspect.
you remember the circumstances being, for the white suspect, do you remember any of what he said about him?
Again, I would have to refer to the body cam because that would give an exact recording.
Right. Yeah, that definitely helps.
Yeah.
And we may do that. We'll see. Now, prior to all this happening.
No, we will do that. How about you have that queued up, ready to go? Okay. Well, is this your body cam footage? And this is an accurate reflection of what happened that evening? Let's play Todd O'Quinn's statement right now.
Before you even got to the treehouse, before you even got the call, what were you doing before that?
I believe I was patrolling the trap yard in an area called La Curva prior to.
An area called what? I'm sorry.
It's called La Curva. It's a trap yard.
Oh, La Curva? Yeah, I know La Curva.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe I was patrolling there prior to getting the call.
Okay. Okay. And how long would you say you were doing that?
Again, it would be a guess, but approximately 15, 20 minutes.
Were you ever in the CVS parking lot that night?
I could have been prior to.
Do you know approximately how long?
No.
What if I told you maybe hours? Maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours? Just prior to the crime?
Well, it could be, yeah.
Just checking. Okay. And did you go into CVS that night at all?
Well, I don't have a direct recollection, but if I was there, I probably went in and maybe got snacks or.
Yeah, see, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Okay. All right. So we know where you were before. We know where you went afterwards. And okay, so you're searching, and everybody else shows up, and they start searching, right? What about the other investigators? What are they doing? Because were they all searching on Laurel, or did they go other places? I mean, did they do anything else that you know of?
I know some units responded to a property on 2nd, but I wasn't there. I don't know who responded.
Was it the warehouse property?
Yes.
Okay, so it was the warehouse property. Now, when I say the warehouse property, you and I know what that means. I'm not sure the jury knows what that means. It's on 2nd Street. Could you please just describe it for them, just so that they have an understanding of it?
Yes, it's on 2nd Street in Stock Island. It's essentially a big warehouse. It's like an aluminum or metal sided building, pretty large, and I believe there's it's sectioned off, or at least it is now, into separate areas.
Now, was the interest at 2nd Street or the 2nd Street warehouse? Do you know?
I believe at the time, the information that I was able to put out and receive from the victim was that there was a suspect that possibly resided there.
Ended up being true, did it?
I actually don't know if they found him. I don't know the results.
Did you show up for when they brought Rory Wilson in? Were you there for that?
No,
I know that people were masked, so it was hard to decide. I don't know whether you were there or not, so I'm just asking.
Yes, I was not.
Okay, just checking. Okay, so you got, there are units at the 2nd Street warehouse, but you're not one of them. You're still back at the.
I stayed at the scene the whole time.
Okay, you're at the scene. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Okay, is there any other involvement you had in the investigation beyond, that initial night?
The very next night, I was on patrol again, and I got called again by dispatch to a residence at the end of the road because they had found a knife in their yard.
Okay, and where was it? Do you remember, what was it in the mobile home park, or was it,
Yes, at the time there was a mobile home park there called Ocean's Edge.
Okay.
Water's Edge.
Water's Edge.
Yeah,
you're absolutely correct. I'm sorry.
And it was one of the trailers that was on, I guess, is that 2nd Street, right at the end of Laurel Avenue there.
Yeah, I seem to remember which one. Now, did you stay there and collect the knife, or did somebody else come and do that?
No, I responded. I saw the knife, and I contacted Detective Pritchers at the time, I believe, was the lead detective. And then Key West Detective Mitchell came and collected the knife.
Now, at the crime scene, who would you say was actually in charge of the crime scene? Who was actually running the show?
I know that Key West PD Detective Mitchell was doing the collection, But
For the
beyond that,
forensics part, yeah.
yeah, beyond that, I don't know who.
I mean,
who's running.
normally it would have been Sergeant Kellenberger's job, correct? I mean, I know a little bit about MCS protocol, MCSO protocol. I don't know.
He would be
And I don't know nearly as much as you, obviously.
He would be the supervisor of the.
He would have been the supervisor, right? Okay, and but there were people there above him, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and did people from the state attorney's office show up at the crime scene?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and how about, did they ever have a suspect at the crime scene?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Do you remember Anathea Clay?
I believe she showed up on a bicycle at one point.
Okay, was she a suspect in the crime?
Not that I'm aware of. I know she was mentioned by Miss Belmonte that she knew the suspect.
Okay, but that's I'm not trying to tell you what to say or anything like that. I'm just trying to see if we can both remember here, because I remember correctly. Didn't Paula come out of the treehouse when she's holding her neck and screing? Isn't that the first name that comes out of her?
I'm going to sustain it.
Okay.
That's not an evidence.
Okay. Anyway, you do remember the Anathea, that she was mentioned by Paula.
Yes.
Okay. And she was eventually brought to the crime scene, correct?
I remember her showing up on a bicycle.
Okay. And did anybody get a statement?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. I'm not saying you do. I'm just, because I don't know which officers did everything, so I just trying to get my knowledge here.
Well,
So you don't.
that's what he needs to find out. He needs to find out who did what and who asked what. This officer was obviously, she stated she's only been involved in the crime scene itself. She never was part of the investigation ongoing. So he needs to find out exactly who asked who what and get them on the stage, on the stand, and go through each one by one, because that's how you bring in the evidence from the person themselves, whether they've made a report about it or a testimony or a statement or anything like that.
Don't know whether anybody took a statement from her.
Objection asked and answered.
I'll overrule the objection.
All right, that was just rhetorical. I'm sorry. But
Let's get to the next.
but she wasn't. I'll try to speak into the microphone, Your Honor.
Definitely be to your benefit to speak louder or into the mic.
Does this sound better, Your Honor? Actually, is there any way to turn this up?
That sounds better.
Will give, and the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and what you got.
Yes, ma'am. Please have a seat on the witness stand.
Permission to proceed, Your Honor.
Yes.
Detective, good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the jury, please.
Marcus Del Valle. Last name is Delvalle.
And how are you currently employed?
Excuse me.
Where are you currently employed?
City of Key West Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the City of Key West Police Department?
Since 2012, and prior to that, a year and a half as a reserve officer.
Okay. And I'd like to direct your attention to November 17th of 2017. Were you working as a detective at that time?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to respond out to alleged incident in Stock Island?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was your role out there?
I was called in. I was off that day, but I was called in by the sergeant on the unit. There had been an incident that occurred, and they needed somebody to process the scene. We already had one detective out there that worked for QS Police, and they needed a second one, so I responded to assist him in processing the scene.
Do you remember what the name of that other detective was?
Stephen Mitchell.
Okay, very well. Please describe for the jury your responsibilities and duties in processing the scene. What does that entail?
I'm one of the field evidence technicians. In processing the scene is picking up evidence, documented evidence, taking measurements and whatever needs to be done to processing, which includes also photographing the scene.
Okay. When you responded there, did you respond to what's commonly referred to as a treehouse?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to walk through the scene?
Briefly, I did. When I got there, I met up with Detective Mitchell, and he gave me a little tour of what was going on. There was two scenes, one outside, one inside. I took a walk through the treehouse, which was a wooden structure, and walked through. He showed me what was going on so I could get just of what was going on. And yes, I did walk through it.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm assuming these are seen, but let's check just to make sure. Okay. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure. Thank you. Appreciate that. One more, right? Or is that the last one? That's the last one. Yeah, we're good.
Permission to approach the witness.
Yes.
Detective Devine, I get to show you previously marked State's Exhibit B 12 for identification. I should take a look at the photos. Please let me know if you recognize it.
Yes, that's beginning with the first photo is going to be the interior looking out of the property.
Okay.
And then the rest of it's going to be going up the stairs up to the area where they had the couch located at. We walked through that. I walked up the staircase and then back up down, and then that was pretty much what I'd done on that portion of the treehouse itself.
Would be safe to say that's the walkthrough portion, correct?
Yes, yeah, it was the walkthrough that I'd done.
And do they accurately and fairly depict the way the treehouse looked on the night of the incident?
Yes, absolutely.
At this stage, we won't present to evidence states number 2. I don't believe there's an objection.
Any objection?
Nope.
All right, let's get them marked. We'll admit the ID exhibit into evidence as the states 2A through. It's going to be
2A to 2L.
all right. Composite exhibit for state 2A through L. Admitted into evidence.
Detective Delvalle, while the clerk is marking that, a couple of questions. Do you remember what time you responded more or less that evening?
To the minute I can. It was later. It was late afternoon, like maybe 7 or 8 o'clock. I can't remember exact time.
You were towards the end of the day, correct?
It was towards the end of the day. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Detective Tobias, take a shade the first photograph here. Is that the entrance to the actual treehouse?
That's the entrance into the yard.
The yard?
Yes, and this is going to be the yard here.
And
That's going up to, that's, I think that's the first floor of the treehouse that's going
You got to
up.
try to speak up, please.
I'm sorry, sir. That's the first floor. That's the stairs going up to the first floor. That's part of the deck. I don't know exactly which part, but that's part of the deck. The stairs going up again. So it was three sets. I believe it was 3 sets. And that's the area where they were staying at.
it's like a makeshift bed.
Yeah, makeshift bed that they had, like a little common area that they were staying at. Same, this is all the same floor.
Makeshift living areas, correct?
Yes, sir. And that same thing there, the bed in the back that they were staying at.
Commissioner Public Seat Flip, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Running water or electricity?
I don't think it had any no running water and no, I know for sure no electricity.
Okay. Now, that was your first part of your investigation, just taking a walkthrough and just kind of surveying what was going on inside and make sure everything was okay and secured. You would agree with me that one of your responsibilities as a crime scene investigator is to secure the scene and make sure that the scene and the evidence, if there's any, would be safe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please explain for the jury what was your next part in this investigation?
Next part, when just to clarify, when I arrived on scene, the sheriff department already had the scene secured with crime scene tape, and it was kind of isolated to that area where it happened at. I went outside there was 2 scenes. One was the inside of the property, which Detective Mitchell processed. The second portion of that was the outside, which was the street, all the way down to running east on the main street. So I started picking up evidence that was laying in the street that was part of the scene. That was my primary task in that scene, was collecting the outside evidence.
Do you remember what type of evidence you collected on the outside of the scene?
Yeah, there was, prior to me getting there was Detective Mitchell collected a $100 bill that was laying outside. He showed it to me, showed me where it was at. Then I went down the street. I collected numerous amount of change, quarters, dimes, nickels. There was a lot of personal items as far as makeup that was strewn through the whole street that I started marking and photographing and collecting. But it was mainly personal items, and it appeared to be like from possibly a female's purse.
Did you ever have an opportunity to speak to Ms. Belmonte?
I spoke to no one on the scene.
Okay. Commissioner Brooks, witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Detective Tobias, I'd like to show you what's been previously marked as things C9 for identification. I'm going to ask you to take a look at those to see if you recognize this.
Yes, that's the same property, and that's the mailbox going to the property.
Is that the outside, the interior?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And do they fairly and accurately reflect the outside and exterior of the property as they were when the evening in question?
Yes, sir.
Permission to stay with the move to move this mail.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
admit that exhibit states next in order, which I believe would be 3A through
What are the next things you did on this case? That evening?
That evening was collect all the items that were strung on the street. We photographed it, like I said, photographed it, documented it, collected it, packaged it, and then we passed it on to the detectives that were with Monroe County Sheriff's Office that were working the case.
And the street you referred to, what street was that?
I believe Laurel.
Laurel?
Yes, sir.
Avenue.
Could we get the two that's sitting at the rail? If we're finished,
Yes.
those, we can bring those over to the clerk and thank you. And we've got 3 more of them.
Commissioner Close.
Yes.
Thank you. What time did you finish on the scene that evening? Do you remember?
That evening, I believe it was like 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at night. It was late.
Did you have an opportunity to go back the next day, or did you need to go back the next day for anything?
The next day I did go back. It was later, excuse me, later in the afternoon. I did go back. Detective Mitchell called me. He had been called out because they had found some other evidence in a yard. So I responded and assisted Detective Mitchell as he collected some evidence.
Okay, let's hold it right there and let him finish.
Okay.
Devalli, I'm sorry. The next day you went back out because what did you receive the call from Detective Mitchell?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of that call?
Sheriff Department, I guess, had gotten a call from a gentleman that owned a trailer on the property, that he had found possible evidence in his yard off of Laurel Avenue. If you go down, I guess to the east, to the end of the street, there's a trailer there at the time, and he had called that he had found evidence, which was a knife.
Okay, so did you respond to the scene?
Yes, I responded there and met up with Detective Mitchell, who was already on the scene. He was in the process of taking pictures of the knife that was in a planter.
So you assisted Detective Mitchell in recovering the knife?
Yes, sir.
And do you know exactly where the knife was located? On the property?
Knife was located on this gentleman's property. As you walk into the property, to the left of the property, there was like a planter, and the knife was sitting inside of the planter.
Permission to approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Detective Devalli, I'd like to show you from the previous report the state's D5 for identification and entry. Take a look at those pictures. Hope you recognize
it. The knife that was inside of the planter, it's still sitting in the planter, but it's a knife that did have what appeared to have blood on it.
Is that the knife you recovered? You assisted?
Yeah, I assisted. Yes, sir.
Did you recover on the scene the next day?
Yes, sir.
If everything that reflects the description and
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Move the exhibit into evidence. It states, I want to say 4.
Any objection?
No.
Permission to publish.
Well, let's admit it as
Yes.
4, and we have, it's a composite with how many parts? 4A through E.
Detective Devine, after you and Detective Mitchell secured the knife, what did you do with the knife?
Knife was collected. It was boxed, and the Detective Mitchell passed it on to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office detectives with a proper chain of command, custody form and all that.
Did you have any other involvement in this case as far as investigation?
As far as investigation, that was it. Prior to, that was it. We collected that, and I think that was it. Detective Mitchell did collect some stuff before I got there, but I wasn't present for that.
Very well. Thank you for your testimony. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Say, Lieutenant.
Cross-examination.
Detective Duvalier, right?
Yes, sir.
We just met outside, right? We just introduced ourselves. First time I've ever met you, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Now, that investigation, I remember a lot about Stephen Mitchell and what he did. I wasn't sure how much you were there for. Was there any problems with gathering any of the evidence?
No problems at all.
What about tire tracks from the truck?
Tire tracks, he took a sample of the tire tracks, and due to the kit that we used that was out of date, and it didn't adhere to the tire track that was next to Cosmos. Yes.
Next to the marine.
But that was
it's a marina, or
Yes,
is it a
sir.
marina or a marine store?
Marina. I believe
Marina,
they
okay.
work on engines.
But there were tire tracks there. You guys tried to get it.
Yes, and Detective Mitchell tried to pick them up. Here, we put it's a form that you put on there, and it's you use like plaster of Paris, put it on, mix it with water. He's the one that done all that process of doing it, but it didn't adhere to it, so he wasn't able to pick nothing up.
Good to know. I asked Deputy Mueller, same thing. You said when you got there, they'd already blocked off the street? Or was it
Yes,
still
the
just
street was,
or it
everything
still
was,
the street?
yes, the scene was secured and blocked off.
Okay, it was already secured, blocked off.
Yes, sir.
So you weren't there prior to that,
Prior,
to them blocking off the street?
no, the street, when I got there, scene was already blocked off and secured.
Okay.
I was not there.
pedestrians- No pedestrians going through?
Wait, we got to
Yeah.
take one at a
I'm sorry.
time, so
Yes, sir.
let him finish, and so we can keep it
Yeah.
separated. Thank you. Go ahead.
When I got there, that I was called out, scene was secured, there was yellow tape up, and they had police, deputies were already securing the scene, so I did not get there at the beginning of the call.
Okay. Just checking, because again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. How about, did you guys make sure you got all the evidence, from the treehouse, or was there any left over? I mean,
Okay,
that you know of?
the treehouse itself.
Yeah, the treehouse property itself.
Detective Mitchell would have to answer that. As far as the outside that I could see and saw and documented, that was all picked up.
Okay.
And that, the only thing that I did collect and helped him collect was the knife.
Okay.
Anything that he collected, you would have to talk to him to see what he put in.
And the knife went into a box and then went to the evidence room? Is that
Yes, sir. That was, once that was collected, all items that were collected, once we collected it, it was turned over to the sheriff department, because we work for the city of Key West.
Right.
We just assist in them and assist other agency. All items that were taken were properly given to the sheriff's department and documented with proper receipts and chain of custody.
How long that took? Curiosity. About how big?
How long? That was done that night. That was passed
That
over.
same night?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Good. Now, you said you handled the knife, it went into property. Did it ever go to
The medical examiner?
Yeah.
I
make its way to the
cannot
medical
answer
examiner?
that because it's not my case.
Okay.
That's something that the sheriff department.
But you guys boxed it up?
Yeah, all we do is collect it, give it to them. Sheriff department is in charge of the investigation. They're the primary response department.
Yeah.
And the detectives that are working the case, the lead detective are the ones that take care of that property, sending it away.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure we know where all the evidence went and what happened there. So that was the extent of your your investigation with this though, right? It's just the crime scene when you first got there, the knife, and is there anything else? I think I seem to be forgetting something here.
Pretty much that's all I done. Detective Mitchell did collect a mask, and he did put that in the evidence, but you'd have to talk to him. Yeah, you'd have to talk to him about that because he's the one that collected it.
Now, is it normal for you guys to get called out when the sheriff's department investigates something, or is that kind of abnormal?
We do help each other out, assist other agency, which would be
That makes
helping
sense.
each other out. On this case, I believe the crime scene technician was out. I believe he might have been in the hospital that night, so they didn't have nobody on call to do evidence collection, which is crime scene investigation. So we went out to assist them to help them do it.
Okay, and you guys don't remember taking any DNA or scrapings from Paul Belmont?
All that is going to have to be under Detective Mitchell's.
Okay.
Good. You check his report, everything's in there on
I
that.
seem to remember it being
I
fairly lengthy.
cannot testify to something I did not do.
Okay, no, I'm just checking because
Okay.
I remember I even told you in the hallway. I don't even remember what you did for
Yeah.
the most part.
I'm going to object. There's no questions. Mr. Ripper trying to testify. Okay, as I said, we want to take it one step at a time in terms of question, pause, answer. So
Okay, I'll take it a little slower for the prosecution.
for the judge as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lee, I don't think I have any further questions for the witnesses. I think you pretty much explained what you did. Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Is there a redirect examination?
No, Your Honor.
Right, and what about this witness? Is
You may
he
be excused
subject?
this time.
Subject.
All right. Next witness.
Raise your right
Roger
hand.
Blue.
Do you solemnly
You'll
swear
remember
or
him?
affirm that the testimony you will give in the cause now and hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
This
So help
is
you God?
the gentleman that was in the treehouse with Paula at the time of the incident, so he is also a victim.
I do.
All right, have a seat right here on the witness stand and speak loudly and clearly so we all can hear you.
All right.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. I'm going to ask you for your name. What's your full name, sir?
Roger Ellen Ruggett.
Ruggett. How do you spell your last name?
Raugutt.
All right, Mr. Ruggett. First of all, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for being here this morning. Mr. Ruggett, I want to talk to you a little bit about an event that happened to you a few years ago.
Yeah.
Do you live in Key West?
Yes, I do.
How long have you lived in Key West?
Since '84.
So a long time.
Long time.
And where were you born and raised?
Mobridge, South Dakota.
Okay. Came to Key West in '84, you said. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
All right. And have you lived in Key West ever since?
Yes, I have.
All right. Are you currently employed?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Ruggett?
I'm over here at the golf course.
Over at the golf course?
Yes.
Here in Key West?
Stock Island.
Stock Island? Okay. And what kind of work do you do over there at the golf course?
Maintenance.
Maintenance work?
Cut grass.
How long have you worked there, Mr. Ruggett?
Since '84.
Been there since '84.
Yeah.
All right. And do you live down here?
Stock Island, Key West, yes.
Okay. You have a home or an apartment? What kind of do you live in?
I got a trailer over here.
All right. Now, Mr. Ruggett, you said you've been in Key West since 1984. Is that right?
Oh, yes, '84.
All right. And you've lived your life down here, right? Since '84.
Yeah, '84.
During your lifetime down here, did you become friends with a woman known as Paula Belmonte?
Yes, I have.
All right. Why don't you tell the jury, how did you become friends with Miss Belmonte?
We partied together.
You partied together?
Yes.
All right. Tell us about that. What does that mean when you say you partied together?
Well, we had drank, smoked.
All right. Well, let's break that down. You said you drank. You drank alcohol?
Yes.
What kind of alcohol did you drink with her?
Bud Light.
Did she also drink Bud Light?
Occasionally.
Was beer your beverage of choice?
Yes.
All right. What about hard alcohol? Did you used to intake any hard alcohol?
Captain Morgan.
All right.
Rum.
And what about Miss Belmonte? Did she also enjoy hard liquor too?
No, I don't think so.
Nope. She stuck to the beer?
Yeah.
All right. Now you said you used to party together, right?
Yeah.
How often would you get together with her to party? Daily, weekly, once a month?
Yeah, well, yeah, 3 times a month or 3 times a week or something.
3 times a week?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
All right. And when you'd party with her, where would you party?
My place, her place.
Okay. You said your place, you have a trailer over on Stock Island, right?
Yes, I do.
What was her place? Like, where did you used to party with her when you went to her place?
Different places, where she used to live.
Did she have a permanent home?
Not really. No, she moved around quite a bit, like me.
Was she ever homeless?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she was.
Living on the streets?
Uh-huh. Yes, she was.
And you guys would still get together and party and what have you?
Yes, we would.
Now, you said you used to party together and you said you used to drink, right?
Yes.
And you said you guys used to also smoke.
Yes.
What did you guys smoke? Tobacco?
Tobacco.
All right. Did you ever do any hard drugs with her?
Like coke and crack.
Like cocaine? Yes, sir.
Yeah, we smoked crack and snorted coke and smoked cigarettes and.
You smoked crack with her? Did you smoke the crack?
Yes.
Did she used to smoke crack as well?
Yes.
We're talking about crack cocaine, right?
Yes.
And how do you smoke it? You smoke it, you put it, you heat it up? How do you do that?
You put it in a stem. They call a stem. And then you light it up and puff.
And that's how you get the high from ingesting the smoke, I guess, from it?
Yeah, you get high from ingesting smoke.
All right. And you said you used to smoke crack with Miss Belmonte, right?
Paula.
Or Paula. Okay, fair enough, Paula. How often would you guys smoke crack together?
3 times a week.
Okay. Who used to supply it? Did you supply it or did
Nope.
she supply it?
She did.
She supplied it?
Yes, she did.
Did you used to pay her for what you smoked or did she just share it with you?
She shared it with me and sometimes I paid for it.
All right. And you guys would I guess the word you used was party together, right?
Yes, it would.
All right. It's a hard lifestyle, right?
Yeah, you lose a lot of sleep.
Yeah. It takes its toll, right?
Takes its toll. Yes, it does.
All right, but this is the lifestyle you've lived. Is that fair to say?
Say again?
But that is the lifestyle you lived, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that fair to
It's the
say?
lifestyle.
And is that the
Drinking, smoking. Drinking and smoking, yeah.
Okay, and is that the lifestyle that Paula lived as well?
Oh, yes.
Now, at some point, did Paula take up residence in something called the Treehouse?
Oh, yes.
All right, let's tell the jury, what is this place called the Treehouse? What exactly is it?
A man has built a stairway up around the top of his trailer, and Paul used to stay up there.
And that was it an actual tree in the center of this
No,
structure?
It just wasn't no tree. It was just actual part that the man built. Stairway going up.
Next to his trailer, you said, right?
Over the top of his trailer.
And the man that built it, do you know what his name is?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Fred. What's his name? Matt.
Matthew?
No, it wasn't Matt either. It was.
You don't remember?
Fred or Ed or Fred.
Okay. He's the one that built this structure.
Yes, he did.
Now, you said Paula was living there, right?
Yes, she was.
Or she was staying there, so to speak.
She was living there.
All right. Now, you say she was living there, but Mr. Raggett, I want to be clear. This is not a fully functioning home per se, right?
No, it's just a deck up there.
I mean, is there running water in this structure?
No running water.
No bathroom facilities?
No bathroom facilities.
What about electricity? Is there any electricity?
No electricity.
So at nighttime, I guess it gets pretty dark, right?
Yes, it did.
So what'd you guys do for light at nighttime when you'd be over there partying?
Flashlights.
I couldn't hear you. What's that?
Flashlights.
Oh, flashlight. Okay, fair enough. So there were flashlights, and I guess that was the way you guys would illuminate the place at night. That's how you bring some light to the place.
Yes.
Okay.
It would be.
Now, how long? Do you remember, like, how long Paula was staying at this place called the Treehouse?
6 months. About 6 months, I reckon.
Was it normal for her to move around a lot, or did she stay put?
It was normal for her to move around a lot.
Okay. Do you remember, or do you know rather, was she paying anybody money to stay in this facility? Like, did she pay anybody rent to live there?
I'm not sure. I never
Okay.
mentioned money.
Did you know a man named Matthew Bonnett?
Matthew Bonnett. No, I didn't.
Didn't know him? All right. But you knew Paula, right?
Yes, I knew Paula.
Okay, so you're there partying with Paula. I want to take you back to August of 2017. You remember that month?
August 17th, yeah.
All right, something big happened, right? While you were over with Paula one night.
Yes, it did.
All right, let's tell the jury about what happened. Do you remember the specific date?
No.
And I'm sorry, I said August. I think I meant to say November. It was November of 2017. Do you recall that date?
Yes.
All right. And do you remember where Paula was living at that point in time?
Yes, I do.
Where was she living?
Up in that treehouse.
All right. Now I want to talk about the date specifically, November 17th of 2017.
All right.
Is that where she was living?
Yes, she was.
All right. Had you been over there to visit her when she was living
there?
there?
Yes, I was.
And on November 17th, were you over there on that particular day?
Yes, I was.
Was that the first time you'd gone over there, or had you been over there
I've been
before?
up there several times.
All right. And again, you guys would party. Is that fair?
Yes, we were. Yes, we were.
So when you went over there on November 17th, did you go, what was the purpose in going over there?
Either to visit with Matt, which I remember now, Matt or her, you know.
All right. Now, you said Matt. You do remember Matt.
I remember now.
Okay. Who's Matt?
Matt is the owner of the property.
All right. And is that the one that lived in that trailer?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember his last name?
No, I don't.
If I told you the name Bonnet, does that ring any bells?
No, it don't.
All right. Well, how did you know him as? Matt?
Just Matt.
Just Matt. Okay. So would you ever party with Matt?
Yes.
And where would you party with him? In his trailer?
Yes.
And what kind of stuff did you do with Matt when you partied?
Played chess.
Played chess? Did you ever drink alcohol with him?
Yes.
And again, what kind of alcohol did you guys drink?
Beer.
Is that what Matt drank as well?
Yes.
Matt ever drink hard alcohol?
No.
All right. What about the crack cocaine? Did you ever share or do crack cocaine with Matt?
Yes.
Did he used to do it as well?
Yes.
All right. So you were friendly with Matt as well as Paula. Is that fair to say?
Paul and Matt, yes.
Now, on November 17th of 2017, do you recall going over to the Treehouse that day?
Yes, I do.
All right. Do you remember what time you went over there?
Well, it was about 2:30, 4 o'clock.
Sun still up, or had it gotten dark already?
Sun was still up.
Sun was still up?
Yeah.
And when you went over there, do you remember who you went to visit that day?
Paula.
Was Paula? Was she there when you went over?
Yes.
Now, did you have a way to contact her? I mean, did she have a phone or anything like that?
Yes, cell phone.
And did you have a phone?
Yes.
So when you'd go to visit her, would you contact her first, or would you just show up?
I'd just show up or,
All right.
or call her.
All right. On November 17th, do you remember, did you call her that day, or did you just show up?
No, I just showed up, I believe.
Just showed up?
Yes.
All right. And Mr. Ragged, if you need any water, I can get you some water, just so you know, okay?
No, I'm
You all right? Okay. So, Mr. Ragged, you said you went over there to visit with Paula, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Sun still up?
Yes, it was.
Daylight?
Daylight.
And is she at the treehouse?
She's in the treehouse.
And do you make contact with her?
Yes.
And where did you make contact with her? Inside the treehouse?
Yeah. Upstairs, on the treehouse. Yes.
All right. And did you guys do any partying that day?
Yes.
All right. And again, just so we're clear, Mr. Raggett, so the jury's clear, when you say partying, what on this particular day, what were you guys doing? Were you drinking
Yes.
alcohol?
I was. She wasn't.
She wasn't drinking alcohol?
No.
What were you drinking?
Beer.
Okay.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. All right. And you said Paula wasn't drinking that day, right?
She wasn't drinking.
Okay. What about the crack cocaine? Were you guys doing crack cocaine that day?
Yes, we were.
Was Paula doing crack cocaine?
Yes, she was.
And were you doing crack cocaine?
Yes, I was.
All right. And again, that's where you heat it up and inhale it, I guess,
Yes.
right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So, where did the supply come that day that you guys were smoking? Did you bring it or did Paula have it?
Paula had it.
She had the supply?
Yes.
Did she ever sell it to you?
Yes.
Did she sell to other people?
Yes.
Were you ever there when she sold to other people?
Yes.
All right. So explain that to us. Her customers would come to the treehouse, I presume?
Yes.
And she would sell them what?
Crack cocaine.
Okay. Did she sell any other kinds of drugs besides crack cocaine?
No.
And did she do this regularly?
Yes.
And you said you were there at times when she would do that. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And
Truth.
yes, sir. That's what we want, the truth. Did you used to sell it?
No.
You didn't sell?
No, I just smoked it.
Just smoked it. Okay. On November 17th, when you were over there with her, you said she wasn't drinking, but you were. Is that right?
Yes.
And you guys were both smoking crack.
Yes.
Now, at some point, did day become night that day?
Yes, it did.
All right. Sunset?
Yes.
Got dark outside?
It's getting dark.
So when it gets dark outside, what's the lighting like inside of that treehouse?
Well, get the lights from the store and stuff.
I mean, is it as
Right
bright
there.
as it is in this room right now?
No, not at all. Not at all. Darker.
Dark?
Not dark.
Hard to see when it gets dark in the treehouse? That's a question. I'm sorry. Is it hard to see when it gets dark?
It's definitely hard to see.
Do you remember using flashlights on that particular day or not to help with lighting?
No, it wasn't that dark at the time.
Okay.
What you're getting into?
All right. And how long had you been there until something happened?
It was getting dawn, I mean, it was getting a little bit dark, not much.
So not dawn, it was getting
Before it
dark,
went down,
right?
Before it went down, yeah.
All right. Were you there after the sunset and it actually got dark outside?
Yes.
Now, in the actual treehouse structure, where did she sleep? What was her area in that treehouse?
Right in the middle, tarped around with the tarps around her.
Okay, in the middle, you said, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, was there anything higher up in the treehouse that other people stayed in?
No.
Just her. And you said she stayed in what you called the middle portion, is that right?
With tarps around her.
With tarps?
Yeah, just with tarps.
And what would be the purpose of the tarps?
Yeah, just
Try to keep the rain out and stuff like that?
Yeah, keep the rain out, yeah.
Okay. Now, you guys were partying, right?
Yes, we were.
At some point, did something happen that night while you guys were partying?
Yes, it did.
All right, well, let's tell the jury about that. What happened? You're partying, at this point, it's nighttime, right?
Getting dark, yeah, it's getting a little dark.
All right. And what happens, Mr. Raggett? What happens while you're in there with Paula? First of all, let me ask you, was anybody else there with you besides Paula?
No, just me and Paula.
Just you and Paula? Do you remember seeing Matt that day?
Earlier
Earlier in the day you saw him?
downstairs in his place.
But as it became nighttime and you were in the treehouse with Paula, was Matt with you guys at that time?
Upstairs in the treehouse, yes.
That's where you were with Paula, right?
Yes, I was.
So where was Matt? As it became nighttime, where I know you and Paula were in the treehouse, but where was Matt located?
He was downstairs in his trailer.
All right. Do you remember if anybody was with Matt or if he was alone, or do you know if he had people over?
He was alone. He was alone.
Okay. Now, at some point, you said something happened, right?
Yes, something happened.
All right. Well, let's tell the jury what happened.
Two guys came up the steps, looked around the corner. They were wearing a skull mask, and they came up, and I stood up, one of them nailed me, knocked me right back into the chair.
All right, and let me stop you, Mr. Raggett. I'm gonna break this down, okay? Because I have questions while you're giving this jury the story. You said 2 men came in. Is that right?
2 people with skull masks.
With skull masks.
Yes.
Now, how do you know it was 2? You were able to see them?
Yeah, they looked right around the corner. And I go, what the hell is this?
And they came right on in?
Yeah, they came right around, yeah, you know. Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, sir, that wasn't clear. Could you repeat what you just said?
They just came up the steps and right around. They got to make a turn on the steps, you know.
Okay.
Then they right on the top there, and then they came walking up, and they popped me in the head.
All right, they popped you in the head. Let me ask you, Mr. Raggett, how are you able to tell there were 2 of them? Are you able to see enough?
Yeah.
Even though it was dark?
Yeah.
Could you make out their faces?
No, they were wearing skull masks.
Okay. Could you tell what ethnicity they were? Were they black, white? Could you tell anything in that regard?
No, they were wearing gloves as well as skull masks.
So you couldn't even see skin to tell if what ethnicity?
That's right.
All right. And you know there were 2 of them.
I knew there were 2 of them, yeah.
Now you said when they came in, what was your reaction to it?
I stood up, said, what the hell's going on here? You know, and they hit me, knocked me back into my chair.
All right.
And
do you remember if they hit you?
Before I get back up again, this person took a knife and put it to my throat, or I put it right here in front of my face, and gave me the motion like this. You know, don't want to hear that damn thing out of you. You know.
What did you take that to mean? That gesture? And Judge, for the record, the witness is putting his finger over his mouth. What did you take that to mean, Mr. Raggett?
Don't
talk.
Don't talk. Don't do nothing. So I sat there.
Now you said you took a couple of hits from this person, right?
Oh, he hit me. Yeah.
How many times did you get hit?
4.
All right. And then you said when you stood up, they knocked you down again?
Yeah.
When you were being hit, do you recall was a weapon being used or was it a bare hand hit?
Yeah, it was barehanded glove. I could feel the glove, you know, hit me too. You know?
Okay. So you felt the glove on his hand.
Yeah.
And that's what you felt. Where on your body were you being hit?
In the head.
In the head. All right. Did it hurt?
Yeah.
And when you got hit, you said about 4 times?
3 or 4.
Were both men hitting you, or was it just one of the 2 men hitting you?
Both of them were hitting me.
Both of them were hitting you.
Uh-huh.
All right. And ultimately, you said one of them gave you that sign, right?
Yeah.
Now, when he did that, did he leave you alone, or did he stay with you?
He kept that knife in front of my face, yes.
All right. And then at some point, do you remember seeing Paula during this struggle?
Oh, yeah. She was sitting right there getting beat up, too.
And who was beating her up?
The other guy with the skull mask on.
The other guy with the skull mask on?
Uh-huh.
So were they both beating on Paula, or at this point was one with you and one with Paula, if you remember?
One was beating on me and the other was beating on Paula.
Okay. Do you remember any description as far as the size of these men?
Yeah, I remember the size of them. I know, I could tell by the Swayzer who that one was, you know, by meeting him different times up there at Paula's. I knew the Swayzer is, get that word right, Swayzer? Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't know what that word means, so I'm sorry.
Oh, his style, his walk, his talk.
Okay. Were they, like height-wise, were they tall guys, short guys? Were they the same height, or was there a difference between the 2?
One tall, one short.
I'm sorry, and I talked over you, and I apologize.
One tall, one short.
Okay, one's tall and one's short, you said, right?
You've got to say yes or no, sir. I not or if you could just.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Rager, you said one of the men was tall and one of the men was shorter. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you recall which one was focusing attention on you and which one was focusing attention on Paula?
Yes.
Okay, which one was on you, the tall guy or the short guy?
Tall guy.
And the other one on Paula was the shorter guy?
Yeah.
All right. Now, did this?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, you did okay. How long did this go on for?
Oh,
I know it's probably hard to say.
10 minutes.
Okay. 10 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, it was.
All right. And at some point, what were they doing to Paula? Were you able to observe what they were doing to Paula?
Jerking her around, saying we cut your damn throat, you know.
Do you remember them doing any? I'm sorry.
Give it up, you know. Give it up, Paula, give it up, you know. She goes, Roger, help me. I said, yeah, give it up. You know, give them what they want to get the hell out of here, you know. Nothing to get poked about, you know.
Sure. At some point, do you know if they inflicted any injuries on Paula?
Yeah.
And what'd they do to her?
Hit her in the head.
Hit her in the head? Did they cut her?
Yeah.
Where'd they cut her?
Neck. Right here, I guess.
Do you remember seeing that?
No.
Then how do you know she got cut there?
Because I handed her a rag before I ran down the steps.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
At some point, when they kept saying give it up, were they specific about what they wanted her to give up?
Yeah.
What'd they want?
Money and drugs.
How do you know that?
Because they said give up the money or the drugs.
All
Either
right.
one. Take them both.
And did she ultimately give up the money and drugs?
Yeah.
And did she just hand it over? Do you remember how she was able to give it to them?
She said, right there it is. Take it and get the hell out of here.
And what'd she point to?
A little container on a little container.
All right. A small container, you said, right?
Yeah.
All right. When she pointed that out to them, did they grab the container?
Yes.
And did they leave?
Yes.
All right. Now, did they leave pretty much together? Did they leave did one leave before the other, or did they leave at the same time?
No, they left. They left because the man was holding a knife in front of my face, hit me, knocked me through the tarp, jumped over a railing after Matt, and ran down steps and struck that man, and then ran back up steps and said, "We got to go."
All right.
All the time I was under that tarp, you know.
Okay. Now, were you guys calling for help while this was happening?
Matt did. I heard him yell.
Matt said what?
Help.
Okay. Did Matt come up the stairs to where you and Paula were?
No. Well, yes, he did. He came up steps and he turned around and went right back down.
All right. So, Mr. Raggett, I want to make sure that we're clear for the jury because I want to make sure this is clear. So, during the struggle with these two men, at some point, did Matt come up to that platform where you and Paula were?
Matt made it up to the platform, seen what was going on, turned around and started walking back down. And that man hit me, knocked me through a tarp, and
you said you heard Matt yell for help.
And then I heard Matt yell for help.
Okay.
And then that man would knock me through the tarp with that skull mask on. Said, "We gotta go," to the other guy.
All right.
With a skull mask on, and they left.
And do you know if they ever made contact with Matt?
No.
Do you know if they ever got to Matt? I mean, were they able to get to him? Did they interact with Matt at all?
Yeah, you interacted with Matt when that person jumped down the steps there and stabbed his ass.
Stabbed Matt?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember where they stabbed Matt? Was where on his body he got stabbed?
No.
And you said he came back upstairs, this man in the mask, and said to the other guy, "We got to go."
We gotta go. We gotta go. That's the only thing you said.
Did they leave?
Yes.
Now, when they left, what did you do? What's the first thing you did? Did you go to Paula?
I went to Paula, see how she was, found a rag for put on her wound, and I ran down steps. I jumped over Matt, and I headed out to the alley to see where they went.
All right. Were you able to see where they went?
No.
When you got down to the alley,
they were already gone.
Already gone.
Uh-huh.
Did you go back into the treehouse then after you went out to the alley?
Nope, I took off.
Took off.
Yeah.
Did you ever render any aid to Matt when you saw Matt? When you last saw Matt, was he standing or was he on the ground?
He was laying down. Do
you remember if he was bleeding at all?
No.
You don't remember, or he wasn't?
I don't remember, but I didn't see it. I didn't see no blood.
Okay. But you did render aid to Paula, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I gave her a rag. I found a towel there and I grabbed hold of it, I gave it to her, and I ran down steps.
Okay. So I'm going to show the fence. What's been previously marked as Echo Composite 1 through 4. Have you shown the fence, Judge? May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Reagan, I'm going to have you take a look at these photographs, okay?
Okay.
Tell me if you recognize them. Before we talk about them, tell me if you recognize them.
Yes, Paula.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just Paula.
I love Roger.
Don't recognize that.
Okay.
Well, it's probably Paula's hand, but I wouldn't know.
Let me ask you, do these photographs appear to show Paula? So these two you don't recognize, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, Judge, I'm going to pull these out.
Yeah.
Let's go with the two that you do recognize, okay?
That's Paula.
Do these pictures fairly and accurately show the injuries that Paula received on that night?
I believe so.
Is that what you observed on her that night?
I didn't look. All I did was head her rag and leave.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I'd seek to move in what's been previously marked as Echo 1 and 2 to evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so admit states E, identification 1 and 2. It's 5, A and B. Yeah, get the ones that wanted to Crawford, give them back to the prosecutor, mark and admit the 2.
Thank you. Okay, now that they're in evidence as states Exhibit 5, composite A and B. Mr. Reagan, I'm going to show these to the jury. Let's keep this one first. I'm going to have you tell them what they're looking at here. Is this your friend Paula?
Yes, that's my friend Paula.
All right. She's got some redness on her face. Is that from the beating she took that night?
Oh yeah, it worked over good. Oh yes, yes.
And this one here, you said you put a rag to her neck, right?
I gave her a rag. I didn't put it there. I gave her a rag.
All right. Why'd you give her a rag?
Because she was bleeding. Well, she said she was.
And after you gave her the rag, that's when you went downstairs, is that right?
Ran downstairs.
Okay.
I hightailed it out of there.
Mr. Reagan, do you know Tyrone Tucker?
Say again?
You know Franklin Tucker? Do you know a man by the name of Franklin Tucker?
No, I don't know no Franklin Tucker.
I'm going to have you take a look at the defense table. Do you recognize that man?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, on this particular night, let me ask you this. How did you know it was two men? I know they had masks
I didn't
on.
know those two men. They had skull masks on. I didn't know them.
But how do you know it was men and not women?
Say again?
How did you know they were males and not females?
You know. That's a hard one.
Okay. But in your memory, it's two men.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you ever have contact with Paula again after this particular day?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen her again?
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys talked about what?
Later on, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I had seen her later on that day. Not that day, but after everything was over with.
And have you guys partied together since then?
No.
Never again since that night?
Nope.
Now, all those events that happened here in Monroe County, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember, you said you saw a knife. Do you remember how many knives you saw?
I've seen two knives, yeah.
You
They were
think?
carrying knives. Big ones, big knives.
Okay, they were or were not steak knives?
That's an important fact because they never recovered two knives. They only recovered one. And he said they both had a knife each.
Oh, it was a big old white handled steak knife.
Okay.
Right in my face.
And you think that there was more than one knife?
The other guy was carrying a knife too.
So you think they both had a weapon, or a knife rather?
Yes, they both had weapons.
Mr. Raggett, give me just 1 second. Let me check with my partner, okay?
While he's doing that, I'm just going to refresh my StreamYard because my chat has frozen. So hopefully this doesn't stop the live feed, but it shouldn't do. All right, we're back. Sorry. Share the screen. That's better. Now, have I got chat? Yay!
Judge, I'm going to show defense counsel with the mark for identification as Fox Pratt. Approach.
Yes, you may.
Mr. Rugged, I'm going to show you a photograph, okay? Tell me if you recognize this person.
Looks like Matt, doesn't it?
Is that who you knew as Matt?
I thought maybe. I don't know who that is.
All right. You don't know? You do or you don't know?
It looks like Matt. Looks like Matt, personally.
All right. Judge, at this time, I seek to move in F for evidence.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, states F for identification is admitted as next in order, being state 6.
So, Mr. Raggett, this is the man that you knew as Matt?
No, it kind of looks like him.
Kind of looks like him?
Yeah.
You can't say 100%.
Well, his hair's a little shorter.
Okay, fair enough. But you think it looks like Matt? Is that right?
Yes, it kind of looks like Matt. Yes, I did. Yes, it is. Yes, it does.
Fair enough. Thank you. Mr. Raggett, I don't have any other questions for you, sir. Thank you.
Well, you certainly set me up.
Okay, sir. If you just kindly stay in place there, please.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to address the jury. Members of the jury, thank you so much for your patience and attention during our morning session. As I told you, when this witness was called, we'd break for lunch about now, and that's what we're going to do. Now,
let's go to after lunch then, shall we? Because we can. We have the technology. Ready. So we're coming back to cross-examination of Roger Ragu, who was in the treehouse at the time of the incident with Paula Belmont.
All right, so we have everybody by way of jurors in the jury room? Yes, sir. Bring them in, please. We're back on the record, State versus Tucker. By way of recap, this morning you were given formal preliminary instructions. You heard opening statements from who had completed for cross-examination. Back to you.
Hi, Mr. Hackett. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
Good. I'm going to try not to be too long with you, man. I know we've held you up quite long enough already, so I'm not going to keep you up here forever, okay?
Okay.
Try and be quick about this. Let's see, going over some of your testimony. Now you said you didn't know my name, you don't know me, right? We've never partied together, right?
No, I don't know you.
Okay, good. Now you said, when you were being attacked, right? And the one guy had you, he was holding up a knife, correct?
Right in front of my face.
Right in front of your face. Now, do you think you'd recognize that knife again if you ever saw it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Mark.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Well, that would be defense exhibit A, but as the clerk has to first of all see it and put an official sticker with the defense exhibit A thereon.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to do with this.
So you're showing the witness what's been marked as defendant's
No,
exhibit A. Sir, let me just, for the record, state the witness is being shown defendant's exhibit A for identification. Okay, and you're asked if you recognize that.
No, it had a white handle.
White handle. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so again, we're going back over this attack. And you said somewhere in there when Matt came upstairs, right? When he actually came up the stairs, right? You said that, what did the guy say? You said something, he said something and they jumped down the stairs or something like that. Do you remember that?
No, he hit me.
Uh-huh.
He hit me and knocked me through a tarp.
Okay. Did he say anything before, after or after he did that?
No, he didn't say nothing.
Okay. All right. I must have misunderstood you then. Because I thought you said something like, what was it, we got to get out of here or something like that.
He did say that, but he said that later when he came back up the steps.
Oh, when he came back up. Okay. I just want to make sure. And just like the knife, would you recognize his voice again if you ever heard him?
He didn't say nothing.
Well, I mean, if he said, didn't he say we got to get out of here?
That's about it.
Okay. But you wouldn't recognize his voice.
No, I don't think I would.
Okay. Just checking. Now, again, I just confirmed, just a second ago that, you don't know me, don't know my name, anything like that, right? We've never met.
He was wearing a skull mask.
Right. I got that part, but you don't know my name, correct?
No, I
Okay,
don't
good.
know you.
Good. So if investigators, and I'm going to read this to you just to make sure, but if investigators said something along the lines of, Roger stated that.
I'm objecting, Judge, to this.
Would you like me to have one read it?
Well, then
I
I
showed
guess,
it to you.
well, 1 second, take it easy. You wanted to see what was,
Judge, yes, he's reading from a document that's not in evidence, and I don't know where this line of questioning is.
I'm reading it from.
well, would we like to have a bench conference to address the issue?
This is a Roger giggle. He cracks me up. And this is the issue that Ty is going to face all the way through. I mean, he learnt probably quite a bit on court procedures and how to bring evidence in at this trial, but I guarantee you that the new judge will not be. We all thought Judge Jones was fairly strict, but I guarantee the new judge will be even stricter. Even military background. So it looks like Ty's trying to bring in a previous statement from Roger's deposition.
Okay, so now the jurors are gone and we can be heard without whispering. And when I have a copy or see this document that's the source of this question, thank you. It's the original affidavit. Okay, it is.
Okay, so it's Roger's affidavit.
David. So this is the arrest affidavit, okay, and it is sworn out by Danielle Malone. Is that? That's correct. Okay, and would you direct me, please, to the portion of it that you wanted to inquire about?
Actually, I'm behind.
Well, I don't know, but I just show it to me.
Actually, right there. In green.
Okay, so, and the state has a copy of this.
Yes.
Okay, so what question did you want to ask? What was your specific question?
My question is if you made that statement.
Well, but that's not the question you're going to ask them. You're going to, I want to hear the exact question, not did you make that?
I mean, I was going to read this and rather than have him read it like that, that's fine. It's just, I want to know if you made that statement.
I understand what you're talking about. When I go and have an objection, a sensitive issue that's been objected to, and I take the jury out, I like to know exactly what the question is, because many times, somehow or other, things get altered between the time of this hearing, and I'm not talking about you, and I'm just talking about my experience over the years, and unless I nail it down, then somehow or other the question changes and the issue changes. So I would like to hear exactly what question you want to ask. That's
Your Honor, I should say, did you say this?
Would you do that, please?
Thank you, sir.
So just like, I anticipate there's going to be instances.
Okay, Roger,
in
bear
the
with me.
course of this trial where we're going to have these sessions and proffers and the like. So it's all part of the process. So go ahead and ask the question you'd like to ask.
Roger, I'm just going to ask you a real simple question, okay? When this investigation is going on, did you ever say that Franklin Tyrone Tucker put his finger towards his mouth and made a sound?
Okay.
I didn't
Wait,
say-
you don't have to answer that right now. That's the question. State.
I have no problem with that question, Judge.
Okay.
I mean, what I understand Mr. Tucker trying to do is he wants to show the jury this tainted investigation and how they went after him. And it's improper for him to stand and read from a document that obviously he's to make sure the jury tells the jury, here's an affidavit for my arrest, and they lied in it. That has nothing to do with this trial. He was arrested already. So any inadequacies in that affidavit are done. He's here facing trial. Mr. Tucker, you don't have to give me weird looks or threatening glances or whatever that's supposed to be.
That was not supposed to be a threatening glance. I really take offense that you would say that.
In any event,
Anyhow, Judge, I have no
it
problem.
was a glare, but regardless, I understand your point. So, and again, based upon what I heard in the opening, this may become an issue, and we'll have to deal with it as the time comes. But all these alleged infirmities in the investigation, I'm not sure how that's ultimately relevant.
Our arguments could be relevant all the way through, every single time. So it's not relevant about the inadequacies of this affidavit.
You're telling me the inadequacies.
The question you can ask this defendant, this witness is, have you ever ID'd me during the pendency of this investigation as being the person who stabbed or the person who held you participating in this robbery? And I believe the answer is going to be no, I haven't. And then that's it.
Oh, wait a second. Just, I want to be clear here.
Wait, Mr. Tucker, you have a bad habit, sir, of interrupting and not allowing people to complete what they're saying.
I thought he was done.
I'm going to give you the same opportunity to speak uninterrupted that I expect everybody else to have. So, I don't know if he has to say, did you ID him? I think he can ask about this specific, did you ever say such and such?
I agree with that 100%, but what I think is not relevant or permissible is it looks like he's trying to impeach this witness. There's been no proper statement made. There is a statement made in that affidavit that, according to this witness, Tyrone Tucker did these things. That might understand the officer's belief or perspective, but at the end of the day, it's not impeaching this witness. It's simply asking this witness a question. And the question is exactly what Your Honor stated. And I think that that's what we're stuck with. If he can ask the question, he'll get an answer, and that's as far as it can go.
Well, I think he's trying to show that in this particular statement, depending upon how you interpret it, he knew Tucker's name, which is contrary to his statement here that he doesn't know. Yes, you can ask the question that you posed when I asked you what it is. So is there anything else you wanted to say? No?
No, I just wanted to answer that question, Your Honor. That's it.
Okay, so the court will allow that, and we'll go from there.
Judge, it also has the court listen. The defendant has a knack to turn and look at me or ask me questions, before I objected to something, he turned to me and said, why? That's improper. He needs to direct his inquiries to Your Honor as to what's going on. I don't want communication with this defendant in any format of that variety.
Well, I think so. At least.
Earlier he said, I'll slow down for the state, like we couldn't keep up. These little comments.
And I think I interjected quite rapidly for the judge, is what I said. So I think overall, so far things have been fairly amicable.
Have a little time for there, Mr. Mansfield.
I've observed inevitably in almost every case, things get a bit heated and we have to stay within bounds. But it is true that whatever arguments or concerns should be directed towards the judge by way of argument, objection, and the interpersonal dynamics between the lawyers or the defendant and the lawyers, other than basic communications needed, should be avoided. Yes. So,
may I speak, Your Honor?
yes, sir.
In my defense, as far as that went, I wasn't the one who jumped up and started getting animated about the whole thing. It's like you're telling me that a statement that the witness supposedly made, I can't ask the question. It's not relevant.
Mr. Tucker, I don't want to disparage you, but lawyers and judges spend years studying rules
I
of
get
evidence,
this.
and they're more subtle than you realize
I
sometimes.
would imagine.
So I said that you could ask the question that you posed, and I don't really want to go any, I don't think I need to go any further.
No, I think we're fine.
Okay. So let's bring back the jury.
Bring the jury. You could get your tissue out. Just stand still and have a sip.
We appreciate it. We're ready to proceed in your presence, so we'll let the defendant continue with his cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would like to apologize to the jury for having to go back there and take a break.
Objection, Your Honor. It's fine. Let's just move on now. And
Roger, I'd like to apologize to you too.
no,
But
absolutely not necessary. And we're going to just go on to the next inquiry.
okay. All right. Again, just a simple question for you, Roger. This is it. Okay. Did you ever say that Franklin Tyrone Tucker put his finger towards his mouth and made a shh sound?
No,
Okay. No.
no, I said he put his finger to his mouth, and that's it.
Okay,
I
good.
didn't say no name.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any redirect examination?
Yes, Judge. So, Mr. Raggett.
Yes.
When you were describing the attack earlier to the jury before lunch, you talked about these two men, correct?
Yes, two men.
You don't know this man sitting here, right?
No, I don't know him.
What about the other man? Have you ever heard of a man named Rory Wilson?
No.
Maybe known as Detroit?
No,
You don't know that person?
no,
All right. Before, when you described the two different men, you said one was bigger and one was smaller. Is that accurate?
yes.
Were you talking height-wise? Were you talking weight? Or were you talking
Weight
both?
and height, weight and height.
So one guy was definitely taller?
Yes.
And was the taller guy also weighed more than the other guy?
No, he laid less.
Okay, so explain that to me. You got a tall guy and then a shorter, heavier
Yeah,
guy?
The guy I knew by his swagger and meeting him before, was the heavier, shorter, heavy guy. And the man took that knife to my throat and told me to shut my mouth. Didn't tell me, just gave me a gesture. Was taller and skinnier.
Okay. And when you looked in the other room, at some point, was the taller man in there with Paula attacking Paula?
No.
Okay. And then the man that went downstairs to help Matthew, do you remember if that was the taller man or the shorter man?
Taller man.
Okay. All right. And when he went downstairs to address Matthew, who was still upstairs with you and Paula?
The shorter man wearing a skull mask.
And where were you during that process? When he went downstairs to Matthew, where were you?
I was hung up in the tarp. They hit me and knocked me through it off the chair and into a hanging tarp.
Okay.
I was coming out of there. I was trying to come out of there. And as I was coming out of there, I seen the taller man jump over the rail, and then I heard Matt scream.
Okay. And again, the guy that was attacking and punching you, that was the taller one you said.
Yeah, he hit me and knocked me through that.
Okay. All right. 1 second, please, sir. Mr. Rugged, I have no further questions for you, sir. Thank you.
So, may this witness be excused?
Actually, could I get a redirect, Your Honor? Just answer a couple questions.
You want to do some recross, which is generally not allowed, but if you want to stay within the scope of the direct, I'll give you the opportunity. So go ahead.
Just curious about
the scope of the redirect.
Right, just questions you just asked, right?
That's what I mean.
Roger,
Yes.
you just described both men that attacked you, correct? You described one as a short, stocky guy, another guy as a tall, skinny guy, right? Just to make sure I'm
Well, it
clear.
wasn't that tall, but he
Oh,
was,
not this tall.
it wasn't that tall.
Okay, about like this tall?
No, but
Like in
your
between?
height, but your height.
Oh, about my height, okay. And but fatter, right? Or is that the bigger dude?
No, the man I know was a short, fat one. He was black, and I knew him by the way he moved and talked, and because we talked before.
I got you.
We knew it was him, but
Okay.
the tall guy I didn't know because he didn't say nothing. He didn't say much.
Did you know
at
his
all.
name
He
by
didn't say
chance?
nothing. He didn't say nothing except for "we got to go." That's the only part I can say.
The guy you knew, did you know his name?
No.
No, you didn't know his name, but you saw him around.
Say again.
You saw him around, so you said you knew him by his swank, I think is what it was.
Slander, it's just style, his walk.
Style, his walk.
I
Okay.
met him before.
Okay, gotcha. But that's a Treehouse where you met him?
And in other places.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that.
And
Okay.
other places,
No more questions, Your Honor. I'm good. Thank you.
So now may he be excused?
I have a redirect.
Redirect?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Rucker, you just said that the taller guy was about his height, right?
Yes, I did.
That's what you just said, right?
On his height, a little taller than the other guy.
This guy right here, his height.
Yes, I said that.
Nothing further. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, now may the witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, thank you, sir. You can step down and be excused.
Field.
Yes, sir.
County quite a long time. May I proceed, Judge?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Cosme.
Good afternoon.
I know we've kept you waiting all day. I appreciate your patience, sir. I'm sorry, but I appreciate you being here. Could you state your full name for the record?
My name is Juan Luis Cosme.
Juan Luis Cosme, right?
Yes.
And sir, where do you currently live?
I live in Big Pine Key, 1212 West Shore Drive.
Here in Monroe County?
Yes.
And how long have you lived down here, sir?
27 years.
Okay. Where'd you live before you're Monroe County?
Orlando.
Orlando, okay, very well. So you've been in Monroe County quite a long time.
Mhm.
Now, is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, no worries. What kind of work do you do, Mr. Cosme?
I own a Suzuki and a Yamaha outboards dealership. We do repair boats. We sell the engines. We sell the boats or, do water sport fishing boats. That's what we do.
And where's that business located?
That's at 5670 Laurel Avenue.
5670
Yeah,
Laurel?
Stock Island.
On Stock Island. Here in Key West?
Yes.
Now,
It was his video footage from the rear of Cosmo's Marine that we actually get to see the two supposed assailants, walking backwards and forwards from the vehicle, from one of his CCTV cameras, the very rear back one.
is your building, is it like an outdoor marina with, a boat dock or boat lifts and everything?
Well, it's just it's not in the water, it's just a building,
Okay,
what is it, on the ground, ground level.
sure. How long have you had that business?
I started in 2005.
And you've had it ever since?
Yeah.
All right, coming up on 20 years then, right?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Cosby, let me ask you, on that business, is it equipped with any kind of surveillance videos or surveillance cameras?
Yes.
And explain to the jury, what kind of a surveillance system do you have there?
Well, we have a Barnes alarm system. That's our provider, and we have cameras facing everywhere because that Laurel Avenue, it's a
Cameras facing everywhere. Remember that, because the only camera that they submit into evidence is the one with the worst view of the treehouse ever. It's taken from the rear of the yard, and the canopy of the Marine Centre covers the view of the treehouse. So I've actually dropped a pin on Laurel Avenue and had a look around a 360 view of the area out the front of the treehouse, and there is at least 6 cameras that I found that were never entered into evidence and that were directly in front of the treehouse, and they apparently requested the incorrect day when they went to retrieve any CCTV footage, and that footage, some of that footage wasn't requested until 2 years after the incident. So
Not a good place. When I first bought the property, I was like, wow, look at all this stuff happening here, especially that house that we're talking about here, the Treehouse. But, I started, telling people, you can't do that here, you can't do that here, and I'll call the cops. There was a lot of stuff going on,
Okay, so you were familiar with the structure that was referred to as the treehouse?
Yes.
And can you just describe for the jury, what exactly was that structure?
It was, I don't know, it was like, I never went in there, it was like this house, you can barely see it, it was all overgrown with weeds. And there was a lot of activity there. That's one of the places that I always look. I'm like, when that place right there, it's a lot of prostitutes, coming in and out.
Not a good place.
Not a good place. It's Laurel Avenue, Stock Island, but it's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better now.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Let me ask, your surveillance videos, did you put those in for security?
For security, yes. 100%.
All right. And does your system, does it run constant, like 24 hours a day?
Yes.
And does it rewrite over itself, or does it archive the video footage? How does that work?
I'm not sure about that, man. I if I have problems, I call Barnes Alarm, and they know fix it.
And they know how to access it?
Yeah, I don't even know how to work it, to tell you the truth, man.
All right, fair enough. So let me take you back to November of, and you said you're familiar with this treehouse structure, right?
Well, it's not there anymore, but yes.
How close to your business was that structure?
It's like there was an empty lot next to me, and then that property. So it was two, one lot, and then it was two lots.
So if you had to estimate footage, what are we talking here? Football field length or less?
Less. Yeah, it's really close. Yeah.
And so you had this surveillance system that you use for your business, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Now, let me take you back to November 17th of 2017. Do you recall that date?
Yeah, I do. I had just bought the property. It wasn't that long, and I see like this tape everywhere. What happened? Because when I got there was cops all the time.
When you got to work, or did you live in there? Oh, you don't live down there.
When I bought the property, there was always cops, because I used to call them. Because I'd be like, these people are doing this and trying to clean up the place. My business is going there. I didn't want a bunch of people, bad people or whatever. But
so you bought the property in and right around that time?
Around that time, yeah, and yeah, it was weird because there was a lot of people coming in and out of the house, and there was one man that was cool, man, and I always used to talk to. He had long beard and white hair, and he'd just walk around without a shirt, and he'd say, "Hey, how's it going, man?"
Okay.
And I think that's the guy, that you guys are talking about.
Do you know a man named Matthew Bonnett?
I don't remember his name, because I think that was the guy,
Okay. Now, did you go to work that morning, and when you went to work, you saw activity over there?
I did. I saw tape, a bunch of police officers there, more than ever, and I was like, what's going on? And somebody got, somebody.
Okay, stabbed over there, right?
That's what I was going to say, but
all right, fair enough.
It was bad, and I was sad because I met the guy, and the guy was cool,
Was there a lot of chatter going on about what had happened there?
Yeah, it was obvious, like there was a lady, Paula, and that what it was is it's obvious, the cops should have been already busted those people already before any of this stuff happened, you could see people going in and out of that place, you
Okay.
know, and then especially that lady, you know, she would go in there all the time with a bike, and she would stop over there, you know.
Did you?
People would,
I'm sorry. Did you personally know her?
no, I just knew who she was because
Okay.
I knew. I asked the cops. I was like, "Who's that lady?" You know.
Okay.
And it's like, "Oh, blah blah, this and that," you know. But
Now, Mr. Cosme, at
Uh-huh.
some point, did the police come over to your business to inquire about surveillance cameras?
yes, they did, and I told them I don't know how to work it, but you guys can go ahead and go in there, get whatever you need, man.
And were they able to pull surveillance tapes
I believe so.
from the evening before?
Yes.
And you gave them full access to your system?
Yes.
And they came into your business, I guess, and effectuated that?
Yes.
All right.
So he gave them full access to their system. And when you have a look at the Cosmo's Marine video footage that gets put into evidence at the trial, have a look at I think it's the bottom left-hand corner or the top left-hand corner. It says camera 3, not camera 1 or 2, camera 3.
But you weren't there at the overnight hours when something happened, right?
No.
You caught this the next
Close
morning?
at 5:00, and that's it. You know.
Okay. Nothing further for you, sir. Thank you very much.
Is that it?
No, that's it for the direct examination. There might be some cross-examination. We'll let Mr. Tucker have that opportunity.
This is where I'd be asking what video footage, where your cameras are located.
Yes, Cosme,
Right.
COSME.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure I have your name right.
Thank you.
I remember seeing it on the video, but I didn't. I never knew if I pronounced it right. All right. So you say you have video surveillance on the entire operation, your entire operation, correct? Okay. And you knew Paula, right? You knew Paula, the chick on the bike, right?
I didn't know her, you know. I just know of her, you know. I know, you know, because I bought the property, and I was like,
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on around my place of business, you know.
No, that makes sense. It makes complete
Yeah.
sense. And you know, so you were looking to just see, man, make sure that nobody's messing around with the boats, nobody's messing around with the outboards. I mean,
That's right.
They love outboards. I noticed. Okay, so yeah, you know, you put these security cameras up. Have you ever seen me over by there?
Who?
Me, over by your shop or over by the treehouse.
You know, I see a lot of people, man, and you look familiar to me, you know.
I do live on Stock Island.
You know, yeah, they look familiar to me, you know, and you know, maybe not, I don't know. And it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
You know, so.
No, and I get what you're kind of saying. You know, same thing with Paula. It's like, okay, you knew her,
But with
but
Paula, you can tell her, man.
yeah, but she
Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
knew her, but
All over the
yeah,
place.
But I gotcha. All right, so but yeah, you I look familiar to you at least, right? You kind of knew me from around, I guess, right?
You know, I'd say that if I saw you every day, it would be, you know, you would be more familiar to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I saw Paula.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. You know, I get that. But okay, now, you know, you gave the tapes over to the police. You gave them all the tapes, though, right? Or at least that you know of.
Yeah,
'cause
they
I
let
know-
them have access to whatever they
Yes.
needed, you know, and the
So they took it, not you giving it over.
yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because I wanted to clarify, you know, whether they were the ones who went in and got it, or whether you went and retrieved it for them.
No, they did it because I really don't know how to work this.
Okay, now don't get me wrong, I'm bad with that kind of stuff sometimes too. Okay, all right. Well, I think that's about all I have. I mean, thank you for your time. Okay.
You're welcome.
How many cameras do you actually
Any
have?
redirect examination? State? Redirect?
Yes, Mr. Cosme, so I just want to clarify, the officers didn't take these tapes against your will, right?
Against my will?
Yeah.
Of course not. You know, that's what they're there for. You know, they're there for surveillance, for anything that happens. I have my cameras faced out to the streets. I can look all the way to the other marina, because when I first moved, like before, I said that Stock Island, they call it Stock Rock, you know, but because there's a lot of crime and people go there to do bad things. It's changing, you know, it's changing good, you know. I love Stock Island, but you know, it's stuff like that happened, you know, like I think that was like one of the last really bad things that happened.
Fair enough.
there.
And you made those videos available
Yes,
willingly
of
to the
course, that's
police.
what they're there for, you know.
All right,
for-
wonderful. Judge, I have nothing further at this time.
And yet
May
police
the witness
knows
step down and be excused? Yes, sir.
wrong
All right, sir. Thank you. step down and be excused.
Why is that, I wonder? Why wouldn't they choose cameras from the very front where you could actually see the comings and goings?
David Fernandez.
Because the pharmacy, CVS pharmacy across the road, had multiple cameras directly, as the first witness stated. It was directly across the road from the Treehouse, and there was multiple cameras on that building as well. And none of
Please
those
step forward through the gate.
were retrieved.
Approach the deputy right here in front of the witness stand. You stop right there, turn and face the clerk, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in the cause now hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please have a seat on the witness stand. Speak loudly and clearly so we're all able to hear you.
Judge, can we come sidebar real quick?
Yes? Looks like this is a good time to take an early afternoon break, members of the jury. I told you that, these things happen, nothing untoward or unusual, but welcome back, members of the jury. Please have a seat.
Jury's back in.
All right, can we thank you for your patience? State's now ready to start their direct examination of the witness who has already been placed under oath and is on the witness stand and ready to go.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Fernandez, good afternoon. Are you officer or deputy?
Sergeant Fernandez.
Okay, I'm wrong on both accounts. Sergeant Fernandez, good afternoon, sir. Can you state your full name for the record?
David Fernandez,
And Sergeant, how are you employed?
with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office
And how long have you worked for them?
since October 28th of 2008.
2008?
Yes,
And your current title?
Detective Sergeant.
All right, and-
Marathon.
very well. And are you stationed out of one location or do you travel up and down the Keys?
Right now, I'm stationed out of Marathon, Florida.
All right. All right, Sergeant. Well, thank you for being here today. I want to take you back. First of all, when did you become a detective sergeant?
Approximately a year and a half ago.
Okay, so before that, let's go back to 2017. What title did you have at that point in time?
Detective Lower Keys.
Detective Lower Keys. Okay. And you were based, I guess that involves Key West?
Stock Island area up to Big Pine, our lower sector.
Okay.
Our office is out of headquarters.
All right, very well. And that's over on Stock Island, right? Okay, so Sergeant, let's talk about back in November 17th of 2017. Were you working for the sheriff at that point in time?
Yes,
And were you working as a detective in the Lower Keys?
yes,
And were you at some point called to assist in an investigation of an event that happened over on Stock Island?
yes,
All right, and this was a stabbing at a place called the Treehouse, is that right?
yes,
Are you familiar with that location?
yes.
Okay, can you tell the jury what exactly was that location?
It's looks like a rundown kind of vacant property. There was a trailer on it and like a balcony on top of the trailer. It's hard to see in and out from the road. We've responded to calls there throughout my career here.
Is it actually a dwelling where people live?
Yes, it's people come and go from that location, except I believe the trailer. There may have been someone staying there a lot longer, but the Treehouse is known for people coming and going.
I guess, people who pass through vagrants or people who don't have a permanent home?
Yes.
And there's no running water at the treehouse, is that right?
That I know of, no.
Okay. Electricity?
That I know of, no.
All right. Sergeant, you were asked to get involved in this investigation to track down some videos. Is that accurate?
Yes.
All right. Tell the jury, how did that request come to you? And what action did you take when you got the request?
So it's from the lead detective. It was either Detective Malone or Detective Pritchers that there's video available from, I believe it's Lower Keys Electric on 2nd Avenue. And then also video from Cosme Marine on Laurel Avenue.
And were you able to go to those locations?
Yes.
And what was your purpose in going to those locations?
Retrieving the video, a property receipt, and then turning it over to the lead detective.
All right. And did you in fact do that?
Yes.
Now, when you went over there to collect the videos, did you watch the videos?
Yes.
Were you asked to watch the videos?
To be able to upload it into a disc or a USB, we would normally watch it, make sure what we have and what we can see.
All right.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, you watched those videos prior to coming to trial here today. Is that right?
Yes.
So this time I'm going to have our pre-mark a thumb drive as a state exhibit.
Joe, need this. Yeah, no, but she needs a sticker on it too.
Sergeant, now you were in my office yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Watching these videos?
Yes.
Did they clearly accurately represent the videos that you brought, that you obtained through this investigation?
Yes, they do.
Were they altered with or tampered with in any way?
No.
At this time, Judge, I've already published them to the defense on the break, and I seek to move in with some previously marked as golf for identification.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so admit State's Exhibit G for identification of the evidence. That's with the number 7.
Permission to publish.
So I don't embarrass myself, Judge, I don't have my helper here.
So you want to publish them now?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry, I'd like to publish to the jury and have the detective, if you would, detective, step down and have you go ahead and bring them up for us, because I know you know this is better than I can.
Okay.
Do you mind if I turn over around there?
Tucker, he can position himself, or we can position the screen so he's able to see and the jury's able to see. So
is that better?
You can pull up that chair there. The veil can help you to pull. Well, just want to be sure that jurors, if you're all able to see the screen where on the exhibit is being published, yes? Or, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Sergeant, thank you for stepping down. If you could bring up the first video. Beautiful. And let's go ahead and play that for the jury. These are the videos you went and obtained during the investigation?
Yes.
And what area are we seeing right now?
So where this vehicle is coming down that 2nd Street, and this would be 2nd Avenue.
So where would the treehouse be in reference to what we're looking at here?
The treehouse would be down 2nd Street, the direction of this truck. And then you would have Maloney.
So the treehouse is over there?
Correct. Yes.
Where's Tom Thumb?
Tom Thumb is the same direction.
Is the treehouse?
It's up that way for the truck.
Mr. Tucker, you'll have your chance to cross-examine right now. Please don't.
All right, Sergeant, if you could just rewind it 10 seconds so we can see what we just watched there. Can you tell the jury, what evidentiary value did you find from this video?
So my understanding at the time was there is a statement made by a co-defendant of his movements throughout that night, and it was corroborating his statements. And this video would depict that.
So the importance of this video is the person we just saw walking across the road there.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
The video goes on for, I think, almost 10 minutes. Do you recall if there's anything else on this video of an evidentiary value that that would be something that was germane to this investigation?
No, I do not.
Okay. It's not this one then? Oh, I'm sorry, before we do that, timestamp, what time is this video?
2017, which would be 8/17.
And the date?
November 17th of 2017.
So around, for those who are not familiar with military time, we're looking about 8:17 the evening, right?
Yes.
And that's when we see the person walking across there. Now, in relation to where the treehouse is located, are they walking towards it or from it?
Walking towards it.
All right, so let's bring up the other one then.
Okay.
Okay, now where's this
Corner.
video taking? What perspective?
Camera
are we
3.
looking at here?
So this is Laurel Avenue. With that building, what you see on the corner is CVS on Stock Island. And this business belongs to
Right
This
there.
building here?
Camera 3.
So that's CVS,
Correct.
the one that's right on US 1?
Yes.
The treehouse is over here, blocked by this canopy, and the camera is at the rear of the property. This over here is the trailer park, and across the road directly over here, these lights on this building here, you can see that building in the background. Sorry, this building here in the background there with the lights on, that's CVS Pharmacy. So this is the trailer park. Laurel Avenue runs along there. And the front of this property is where the front of these boats are, where there would have been more cameras. And there was also a camera along Keys Electric across here, but they've chosen the rear camera at this property. As you can see, camera 3, and the whole treehouse is blocked by
And I'm sorry,
that canopy there.
I interrupted you. What other perspective are you giving us?
This is Cosmin Marine, which is on the corner of Laurel Avenue and 2nd Street.
Where would the treehouse be in relation to the vantage that we're looking at now?
So the tree house would be just a couple properties down Laurel Avenue, right in this area.
Down that way.
Yes.
You said a couple of properties?
Yes.
Can you estimate footage or it's tough, right?
So next door to that is a motorcycle repair shop. And then it's either right next to that or the following property is pretty close. I would have to fast forward if we want to get to that. It's just like
Let's go to that. My next question was, so now, did anything of an evidentiary value reveal from this video during your investigation?
Yes.
And take us to the part that you're referring to.
So the same thing, my understanding, statement made by one of the co-defendants, and it was to corroborate his story.
Can you show us where on the video you see anything of an evidentiary value? All right, Sergeant, what are we getting ready to see here?
So there's a vehicle. Okay. So as you can see there, if I rewind it a second, but the two headlights here, there's a vehicle that's going to come and approach in front of Cosmo Marine and then stop right in front of this vessel here.
Okay. Let's put it back. And you know what kind of vehicle that is? Can you tell from the video?
It looks like a truck to me. If I rewind.
Let me just give you a better view. Hang on. Give you a better view of a different screen. Okay. Let me just maximize that. So this is the treehouse, and this is the treehouse, and this is the property between Cosmos Marine and the treehouse. And then behind here, where the trees are, at the back of this boat, is the trailer park. So that's how close it is to Cosmos Marine. And these are the cameras directly opposite on CVS Pharmacy. This is the camera directly in front of the treehouse. And this is, you can see Keys Yamaha, which is right next door. So behind that, at the black circle, is the treehouse. So you can see in relation to where the treehouse is and where the camera is, right at the front of Keys Yamaha, between picture 2 and 3. Right. Just gives you a better idea as to where everything is, because it shows you exactly which camera they chose to show footage from. Okay, so we're actually looking now. You can see my cursor. This little space here is the view that we get between that boat that I just showed you out the front of that picture and here. So this is the only bit that captures anything whatsoever, this little entrance here, despite the fact there being multiple other videos and cameras everywhere else. So we get this tiny little view of some dark figures, basically. There's the truck.
With the front, the direction it is, and also it appears to be a bed of a truck to me.
We've got a license plate. We look at the cameras from the front.
I'm sorry, again, right now, the questions are coming from the prosecutor here, and again, Mr. Tucker can ask him cross-examination.
And that's where you can see a reflection here.
That's the headlights.
Like
He's
movement,
pointing out there.
of light and no light on that area right here where the mouse is pointing in this area. And if you keep watching, it continues.
And what do we see there?
So here we see two people walking from the direction of the truck towards the treehouse, which correlates with the movement you can see near that lighting of the truck there.
So those two individuals we see walking, would they be walking in the direction where the treehouse would be located?
Yes.
Now, just remember too, from Matthew Pritchers' deposition, this video was never verified as to date and time. Never verified.
Well, was there anything, let me ask you, is there anything else of evidentiary value after what we just saw?
I don't recall. The video looks like it's another maybe 10 minutes or so. I don't recall anything on this specific video, but
Very well. All right, we're good for now then. Yeah, you can do that, that's fine. So Detective Fernandez, when your job was to retrieve these videos, is that right?
Yes.
And you did that, correct?
Yes.
And did you put them into or upload them into your data system so you'd have them, or they would have them as part of this investigation?
I did not personally upload them. I transferred them over from a property receipt.
All right. Did you have anything, any other hand in this investigation at this point after retrieving these videos?
So I retrieved the videos. I did get information from a citizen that provided some information. I was in there.
Okay.
But for the video part,
That's it then. All right. Sergeant, I have no further questions for you at this time. Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Detective Sergeant Fernandez, it's been a long time. How you been?
Good. Thank
you.
You can position the podium as you, that's good. For
Okay,
you.
good. Actually, up here would be a little bit better for me, I'm probably sure.
Right.
I want it to fall over though. There. All right. Now this video here, right? Now you see the two guys get out of the truck. That's true. Do you see anybody sitting, waiting in the truck?
No.
So you can't see that there's actually a driver in the truck, right?
No, I cannot.
Good. That's all I need from this video. Video previous, you said that the only thing that was evidentiary value was the guy walking up.
That I recall, but my position was to retrieve the video.
Okay, but you did watch it, right?
Very little, as I
Okay.
did today.
Do you remember at the time what the video was, what it was purported to be when you first got it?
I remember watching just what we showed today in court.
You don't remember Captain Phelps calling it something else?
No, I don't.
Just checking. Okay, so if I remember correctly, that video has a little bit longer to go on the other one, and there is some other evidentiary value on there. But we'll go ahead and go.
You of course are entitled to
Go back and
publish
check it out?
whatever you care to on this exhibit. It's in evidence.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, if you would. They said this was originally to corroborate co-defendant's testimony, correct?
I would be speaking on that. That's what I believe.
Judge, I think the podium's blocking a view for some of these jurors.
Okay, so we'll try to position it in a way that's good for everyone.
Yeah, start at the beginning and 12 seconds.
We're going to see now. Has anybody admitted who they are in this video?
I do not.
Let's get to that some more. Okay, that's those guys walking up, right? Yes.
Mr. Tucker, let's see.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. One of us have seen this video probably
I
1,000
think from memory, they're alleging that person is John
Okay, so
Travis
walks
Johnson
up.
walking up.
If I remember correctly, we fast forward a little bit, probably not so far.
You want me to fast forward?
That's what we're walking back.
Do you know how much more that's?
I really don't know offhand because I'm sent this, but I know it's not too far.
I don't know how to fast forward. I can either skip.
Yeah, just jump a little bit. Okay.
Or you tell me.
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit of time in, just so we get it going a little quicker. I just know it's not too long after he walks up.
Keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, our court reporter here is asking me to ask you gentlemen to speak louder, please. Again, we don't have the benefit of the mic, so, all right.
There we go, right here. Now, if I'm correct, this is about evidentiary value too, correct? If I remember I'm sure you're pretty familiar with this video. It's a pretty big part of the investigation, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, that was identified as Roy Wilson.
I do not know.
All right, well, right back up to the treehouse, that was what you were saying, that way is up to the treehouse, right?
Correct.
And that way is Stannis, correct?
Correct.
And that's going towards where, the warehouse?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so that's pretty much the evidentiary value of that video. The one question we have always had, and I'd love to have, ask you since you're here and you collected it, is why didn't we get more video of this?
I can't answer that.
You were just told to go get it.
Yes.
You weren't told to get specific times or anything like that,
No.
right? All right, you were just told, you always wanted to know, I figured I'd ask you why you were there. Okay, all right, thank you. No further questions.
The rest of that video showed two people walking back.
Anybody redirect examination?
No, sir.
All right. So is this witness subject to recall or is he to be?
No, Judge, as far as I'm concerned, he could be excused.
Thank you. You can step down and be excused. Further witnesses for the state?
No more lined up for today, Judge.
Okay, so why don't we approach the bench here?
All right. That's today's day one. Day one of the first Treehouse murder trial with Florida versus Franklin Tyrone Tucker. So day one. We shall continue with day two tomorrow. So as I said, just remember, whilst you're watching this, with all the evidence that we know up to date, keep an eye on the actual evidence that the prosecution puts on. Now, so far they've put on no evidence really. They've just laid the foundation of the crime scene, who was there, who the victims were, and the police initial responders, what they collected. They collected one knife. They found a whole heap of women's makeup and stuff strewn up the street, which I'm assuming might be from Paula Belmont's purse. They said there was the two assailants. Both were masked. One was tall and thin. The other was shorter and stockier. One had a skull mask on, and they both apparently had knives, and only one knife was recovered, and one mask as well. So that's where we're at. They've just introduced the CCTV footage from, I think they call it the Tom Thumbs one, which is the first one, or Keys Electric, and then the Cosmos Marine one, which was the poorly chosen vantage point. So that's where we're at. Day two tomorrow, same time, same place, same bat station. And we shall continue to refresh our recollection. All right. Now, where is my outro? Thank you very much for joining us, whether it was live streamed or on the replay crew. We welcome you and we thank you for joining us. If you could just hit that like and subscribe on your way out, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to still work my way up to monetization and I'm nearly there. So every little like, every little subscription helps a heap. So thank you very much for joining us. And until then, I shall bid you adieu.
Cover each other.